Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to this special episode. It is the summer movie preview. It's our second year doing it. My name's Sean Waskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. Like I said, we did this last year. Basically, we're going to go at the start of the summer, which is this upcoming Friday, May 5th. We're going to go through each week talking about every movie that's at least worth talking about coming out and what our thoughts are and whether we're excited, not excited. And then once we get through the summer, we're going to drop our top 10 box office predictions, which last year, Brian and I shot this a little too early with Top Gun Maverick coming out, and we were greatly incorrect with that. I think you and I both had Top Gun Maverick, I think
like six, seven.
6 or 7.
And then I had Lightyear at like number 3, and that didn't happen.
You had what at number 3?
Like Lightyear.
Oh, yeah. I had Lightyear, I think, in my top 5. And I think we both had I think I had Doctor Strange at number 1, and you had Jurassic World.
Yeah, and you had the opposite as I did. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we were both. I think we were like 2 weeks into the summer. Like, man, we messed up bad.
I don't claim to be good at this. We just do it for fun.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's that's basically how we're doing it this year. But we also both said this last night. We both spent way more time than we probably should have redoing the box office this year because we want to be pinpoint. And then when we do our end of summer fall preview, we'll go back and we'll see exactly how correct we were. But we are starting with the first week, or like what I like to call my birthday week, because my birthday always starts the summer off. And that's May 5th. Of course, there's only one movie that comes out at this time. It's the only movie that needs to come out to start the summer, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. My number one most anticipated film of the year. Brian and I both love the Guardians. We both love Guardians 1. I love Guardians 2 a lot more than Brian does. And of course, I think weren't you one of the ones that were like, it's not that good? And I was like, I enjoyed it still.
I don't think it's nearly as good as the first one, but I still enjoy it quite a bit.
Okay, I think Guardians Volume 2 gets shit on unfairly.
It is one of the shit on unfairly. That and Age of Ultron.
I was gonna say it's not Age of Ultron extent where you and I will die on that hill that Age of Ultron is one of the most underrated, criminally misunderstood films of the MCU. But Guardians Volume 2 is up there, but it's not gonna take the Age of Ultron spot. But yeah, this is supposedly the final one. It's definitely going to be the final one for James Gunn because he's obviously becoming DC daddy over there.
And for this group of Guardians, there may be like a couple of them carry over. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we already know certain things. Like Batista says he doesn't want to play Drax anymore, but he also said that all the way back before like Infinity
War. Pratt said he won't come back without James Gunn, so he's done.
Yeah, Sean Gunn says it's his last time playing.
Obviously, Sean's not good.
Yeah, so I mean. There's not to say that things don't change. And I mean, we didn't think we were going to get Henry Cavill back as Superman. And then he came back and did Snyderverse and Black Adam and shit. So things can always change.
And there's going to be another movie. Oh, no, wait, no, there isn't.
Yeah, there were going to be. Now The Witcher is going to be fucked because of it. But anyway. But yeah, so Guardians 3, we are both on like separate sides right now about this because Brian is like, based off of word of mouth, because they finally started dropping like first reactions and everything like that, Brian is on the side of, I don't want to be sad or cry. I just want to have fun side. And I'm like, as long as these characters are done right, I don't care about crying because I love these characters so much like Endgame and Infinity War. And as long as the story and the characters are done correctly, I don't care if I cry more than I laugh. I just want this movie to be great. So we're both on these two different sides, which is going to make for a very divisive review this upcoming week, depending on how the movie plays out. But yeah, go ahead with your side on Guardians. I already kind of gave it away. But yeah,
I mean, I love Guardians. I just rewatched the first one last night. Starting my rewatches leading up to the new one. I love the first Guardians. It's such a great movie, and it's one that I will freely admit that I was one of the people who said when they announced it, like, this is going to be MCU's first bomb. I mean, it's going to have a talking tree and a raccoon. This movie is going to be like,
how the fuck is this going to work?
Yeah, they've always like tried to keep, MCU grounded and believable, and now they're going like talking animals and outer space. I'm like, this isn't going to work.
And Chris Pratt
I was wrong, but I'm so happy I was wrong because I love the first one. I enjoyed the second one. I enjoyed the Guardians in all the movies that they've appeared in.
Except for Thor and Thunder.
Going into this one, I was, not knowing a whole lot about it going in. I was looking forward to seeing another Guardians movie. But then I kept hearing, even before I heard reactions to it, I heard like James Gunn talking about how it's going to be, It's going to be so emotional. It's going to be something. And I'm like, I watch the Guardians is the one I look to for fun. The Guardians is not the one I want to go to when I want to cry. I don't like to watch any movies that make me cry and sad. I'm not the kind of person that likes to watch these emotional dramas because it's like, and that's not saying they're not good movies. That's not what I want from a movie. I go to a movie to feel good, not to feel bad. And so I heard him say it's emotional. I'm like, oh, I hope they don't overdo it. And then I start hearing the reactions from the film saying, oh, it's so emotional. I cried so many times. I've never cried so much in a superhero movie and all stuff. I'm like, oh, but it is, as long as they balance it, if there's still plenty of fun in it, if there's still plenty of good action stuff for me to enjoy, I can still love this movie. And it can have its emotional moments. I'm worried that they might go over the top with it, and that will bother me. The other thing about it is they bring Adam Warlock in, who they teased in previous Guardians. Will Poulter, who I love, so I would love to see him be a part of this movie. But again, the first reactions, like, I'm not reading full reviews or anything, but the first reactions are saying he's not really in it that much, and what he is just okay. So I'm a little disappointed. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that I'll feel differently when I watch it. But I'd like to see that character be good. So this is a movie that I'm definitely anticipating. I definitely have high hopes for. I hope I love it. I'm worried about them going too far into trying to be dramatic and emotional.
See, I feel like the dramatic, emotional part of it is because we've grown to love these characters so much, and we protect them in our own like personal like psyche so much like we did with Spider-Man, with in No Way Home and stuff like that. Like, we cared so much about these customers, Jesus, these characters. And much like Endgame, when these characters are having these dangerous moments or death scenes or stuff like that, it does traumatize us to a way to where we want to cry. And knowing that we're going to be going back into Rocket's past and potentially losing some Guardians in this final act, like, I still get emotional every time I see Yondu pass away in the second one. And honestly, one of my favorite moments in the MCU, and a moment that I still get emotional for every time, because I think it's just peak acting for such a small moment, is in the first Guardians film when Peter grabs the it's the Power Stone, right? Purple one's the Power Stone.
No, Power Stone. Yeah, Power Stone.
And he's basically effectively breaking away, and you hear Gamora say, "Take my hand," and he looks and he sees his mom, and he like, you get the man tier, one tier thing, and he says "Mom," and he grabs the arm, and it's them uniting. That moment gets me still every time. I've seen that scene like 100 times. It still gets me to this day. Guardians 3, and much like everyone, because that's why everyone loves these guys so much, these characters have been done so beautifully by James Gunn's writing, directing, and the performances of these characters, that you are going to have these emotional moments, and they're well deserved. If they weren't deserved or they weren't well earned, then yeah, it's going to feel cheap. But we've now had, if you count, the Avengers movies and even the holiday special, we've now had 5 movies, and I guess 6 if you count Thor: Love and Thunder. We've had these guys for this long, that if this is the swan song for these characters, they are owed the tears. I'm not saying that we need to go in there and expect to cry, but I'm also saying that if we do, we shouldn't feel bad about it. And it shouldn't be a negative to the film. It should be a positive to the film. Definitely my most anticipated film of the year. I cannot wait for this. We are only 4 days away now from it. Could not wait for that. There is also a rom-com film that comes out the same day. It's called Love Again. That doesn't.
Yeah, it's Priyanka Chopra and the guy from Outlander, I think it is.
I think so. And then Celine Dion. I saw the trailer for it. I was like,
yeah, there's that. And then there's a movie called What's Love Got to Do with It? Not the Tina Turner biopic. That's another, it seems like a rom-com. The only reason I mentioned that is because it's got Lily James in it. Emma Thompson is in it. And then besides that, it's a largely, I want to say Indian, but it could be some other South Asian cast to it. But again, it's coming out, but it's not worth mentioning.
Yeah. Going to the next week of May 12th, obviously Guardians is going to probably run through multiple weeks on this because they don't have really another actual competition until the week after. In terms of what comes out March 12th, you got Book Club, the next chapter. I didn't even watch the first chapter, so I have no interest in that film. The one movie there are 2 actual good movies that I'm actually genuinely excited for. Technically 3, but there's 5 movies that I'm going to be paying attention to this week, but none of them are going to contend with Guardians in terms of the box office. You've got Fool's Paradise, which is Charlie Day's movie that he's been making since like 2018, which I told Brian about this, and I was like, have you watched this trailer yet? I was like, it feels very much like a Charlie Chaplin-esque kind of film, and I am fucking here for that. The cast alone is great, and I love Charlie Day so much, and I love that he's playing these like dual roles kind of thing, and it's because it's one of those like Trading Places kind of stories, but it's done like an old timey Hollywood, which is like I said, the Charlie Chaplin-esque kind of story, and I don't know. This one has me excited. I have a feeling like I'm not gonna, at the very most, I'm not gonna hate it, but I'm just gonna be like, it was fine. I want this to be good. I really
kind of feel like because obviously we love Always Sunny, we love Charlie Day, and I think that he's obviously a talented writer. He can be very funny both physically and in his writing, things like that. So I have high hopes for on that thing. The fact that it's been like this personal passion project worked on for 5 years, that he's basically has this cast of tons of recognizable people, but who are all probably there for like a scene. I feel like it's gonna be a cameo fest of like all his friends and family that came to help out and appeared in a role and things like that. And so that I wonder if it's not gonna be everything we hope it's gonna be, but I'm gonna be optimistic and positive about it.
I'm hoping for like even though it's nowhere near the same film, I'm hoping for like a Guns Akimbo situation where it's like I'm gonna check it out because I want to see what this is about, but then it's like I actually really enjoyed that kind of thing, and then you're going around trying to tell people, well, you should check this movie out because no one else is gonna watch it any other way. I know that one's gonna take a while to watch because I know I'm not gonna get it in my theater, so it's gonna be one of those things I'm gonna have to wait until it like actually pops up on like VOD or something because you have the better chance of seeing it before I do, basically. We also have, and I saw this trailer and I was like, okay, then this could be really good, and that's Hypnotic with Ben Affleck. This movie is super intriguing. I was not prepared for the movie because I saw Hypnotic with Ben Affleck. I'm like, all right, what is this? And then I watched the trailer. I was like, okay, this could be something very interesting. What were your thoughts on Hypnotic?
I'm not sure what to think of this movie because I had heard nothing about it till like it popped up. I think it played at what was it, South by Southwest or someplace, some one of those festivals. And next thing you know, there's a trailer for it online, and it's coming out like next month. And I don't know what to think of it, and mainly because it's directed by Robert Rodriguez. And for me, Robert Rodriguez has not made he has not made a good film in a while. I mean, I know you loved Battle Angel or Alita Battle Angel. I think it's okay, but everything before that, he made some great movies early in his career, and then he made some real crap, mostly because he went into like all kids movies kind of thing, and it's just like, so he's a real question mark for me. And also just the fact that it is when I think Ben Affleck, I think this Hypnotic and the kind of tone of it, my mind goes straight to previous Ben Affleck movie Paycheck, which is a John Woo movie, which was also not very good. So it's one of those movies that I'm gonna see it. I hope it's good, but I have no expectations for it. I'm kind of going in just like, well, we'll see what they give me.
But William Fichtner though is the villain, and that intrigues me.
He's always a good plus for me.
He's always good, and he deserves to like be forefront. And I hope that he gets something out of this. Also, I think it's going to be Apple TV. If not, then it's going to be like in theaters, but not anywhere near Blackberry. Also with Always Sunny. And he actually shaved his head for this role. So like kudos for him. Glenn Howerton. It's basically about it's basically like The Social Network, but about the BlackBerry, which for people who are too young to understand, the BlackBerry is what a phone was.
You know what I can't figure out this movie? I've watched the trailer. I was still not completely sure of the tone of this movie. It's like, is it all serious? Is it trying to be a comedy? I can't quite.
That's why I'm going like Social Network with, where it's like it's probably got like, comedical moments, but it's mostly serious. Yeah. But the cast is really really solid with it and everything. But I am intrigued by the trailer, and plus it's Glenn Howerton, and I'm gonna watch it regardless because you got to rep the Always Sunny guys.
Although honestly, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this is like a Roku channel movie, right? This certainly doesn't seem theatrical, and it barely seems like it would show up on one of the major streaming services. So I'm like,
I honestly thought it was an Apple one, but it's not. It says theaters.
Yeah, so. No, it's theaters, which means it'll be on VOD in 2 weeks. So
probably. Next, we've got on Netflix, we got The Mother with J-Lo, which I feel like this movie should have been out like 2 years ago.
It was originally supposed to come out last year, and then they pushed it back, and now it's coming out supposedly for Mother's Day, apparently.
I mean, J-Lo likes to do these movies every now and then where it's like, she's just this badass, woman power movie, which for J-Lo, I'm always there to check it out, but I'm sorry. I don't forgive her for Shotgun Wedding. And because of that, I don't know if I can give myself the time.
I was looking forward to this movie, and I did the same thing. I'm like, I was looking forward to this movie, but now I'm like, after Shotgun Wedding, you've really got to prove yourself to me, J-Lo.
Because Shotgun Wedding is still probably my worst film of the year so far, and I want it to be good, but I'm gonna have to hear some fucking good praise for this before I even give my chance to click on watch for this. And this one is not really a movie, but it's a documentary. I saw the trailer for it last week, and it's intriguing enough for me to watch, and you probably as well. And that is Still, a Michael J. Fox movie on Apple. It's basically about his trials and tribulations of his Parkinson's. We get to see some of him footage from him back when he was at the top of the world, and how he has been dealing with his family. And Michael J. Fox is one of those people that just everyone loves him. And I remember, was it last, I think, summer or fall? I think I showed it to you. It was like it was like a video of him with Christopher Lloyd, and he looked. It made me sad, like seeing him. I was like, oh man, Michael looks so bad. But seeing this, and just watching, and just even watching the trailer was just so well done. To the point where it's like, anyone who's been a fan of Michael J. Fox, who's ever even liked one of his movies, I think should go out of their way to watch this on Apple, just out of the respect for Michael J. Fox. Your thoughts on that?
I'm torn on this. I think it'll be a good documentary. I don't know if I want to watch it though, because like I don't.
It's probably gonna make me sad. Yeah.
It'll make me sad. And it's like I don't want to feel that way. I'd rather just watch
Ryan's like,
movies.
I don't want to feel tears.
I don't want to feel sad. I want to be happy. So I mean, I think it'll be well made. I'll probably end up watching at some point, just like you said, because of the respect you have for Michael J. Fox and his whole career, and not even just his career, but everything he's done since he was diagnosed with this. He's been kind of heading up the fight, funding the fight against it, to try and find a cure, that kind of thing. At the same time, though, like I've seen interviews with him in the past couple of years, where it's like, this is tough to watch, Yeah.
I'm not expecting it to be an easy watch, but I'm expecting, because it's Michael J. Fox, that it's deserved to watch out of respect for him. Going to
May. There's one other movie on May 12th, which absolutely looks like it should be straight to video, but apparently it's getting at least some kind of small theatrical release, called Knights of the Zodiac, which this movie looks
like the new RRR.
Oh well, no, I don't know what it's supposed to be, because it's kind of a science fiction fantasy kind of thing. It stars somebody, I can't remember, McKenna, I don't know, but it's got Famke Janssen, Sean Bean, Nick Stahl, Madison Eisman, who you might know from, I think she's in the Jumanji movies, Mark Dacascos. But it's like it has this cast of people who are known for like kind of going to straight to video movies now, and it just looks like one. It looks like it wants to start a franchise, but it's clearly not going to. But I just mentioned it's coming out, but it's going to be forgettable. So. Honestly,
I saw the poster and I thought it was just another like RRR type film, which we love. RRR, it was our movie of the year last year, but there's RRR and there's like 1,000 other films like RRR, and there's only one RRR.
And this one's averaging 2.1 stars on Letterboxd, so I'm not looking forward to it. Just
gotcha. So jumping to May 19th, we have the first contender for Guardians to be knocked off of the top, which it probably will, just because it's been out for 2 weeks at this point. But we got Fast X coming. Now, the Fast and Furious franchise has had a very, very fucking long ass road. Brian, what's that?
I see what you did there.
Yes. Brian has carried a torch for this franchise for 90% of its journey, but the last one, F9, Brian, I think, officially jumped off the rally bus, the bandwagon for this. I personally thought that it should have ended on was Furious 8 when they said bye to Paul Walker, or was it 7?
7.
Yeah, I think it should have ended with 7. I was not a fan of 8. I was definitely not a fan of 9. Especially when they started making the jokes about how they never get hurt. And I'm sorry, the trailers for Fast 10 have not done anything to win me over one iota. Will I still watch it? Yes, because it's a Fast and Furious movie, which I guess defeats the whole purpose of me saying that it's losing its thunder when I'm actually going to still see it opening night. But I also hate this so much that Vin Diesel's doing this, because we know there's going to be another one. and it's not going to be called Fast 11. It's going to be, this is Fast X Part 1, and next one's going to be Fast X Part 2. Shut the fuck up. Seriously, Vin? Come on, dude. Don't.
Because it's weird to end on 11 movies, so he's going to claim it's just 10 with one.
It's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's funny, and I don't think it's funny because I don't agree to this, but every time a Fast X trailer comes on, and my mom sees it, she's like, "Man, Jason Momoa looks fat." It's like, stop fat shaming Aquaman. It's like, it's not. Seriously, stop fat shaming him.
I'd say fat, but he definitely looks pudgier. But
yeah, but I know a lot of people love this franchise, but like I said, I've been over it for 3 movies now. For 2 movies. Hobbs and Shaw I thought was fine for what it was, but the Fast and Furious franchise itself, I've been off since 7. But I mean, I'm still gonna check out this one because it's one of those like, okay, we're not 10 films in, fucking finish it. Like, I'll watch this and I'll watch Fast X Part 2, because it's like I've already been this long. Like, why would I just stop at the end? But any thoughts for this outside of you also not being excited?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, like I saw the first one and I thought, it's a Point Break ripoff, but it was still tons of fun. I love the first movie, and then 2 and 3 came out, and I'm like, whatever, they're fine, they're watchable, and it was 4, 5, and 6 kind of reinvigorated the series, kind of turned it into a whole new franchise, and I love those. 7, I agree, they absolutely could have ended it with 7, but I enjoyed 8 quite a bit, so I was okay with them making it 8, even though yes, it was unnecessary, and then 7 was kind of a perfect ending for it. But I get the people that say it should have ended there. But 8 I really enjoyed. I've still been a defender of this franchise all the way up through 8, and then I saw 9, and 9 was such a complete pile of dog shit from top to bottom. I don't think there's anything in there I can find to redeem it, whether it be the fact they got so much more ridiculous and unbelievable than usual. And you've had to suspend disbelief in this series for a few movies now, but this one went way farther. I'm not even getting into the space thing. There's that, and then like you said, they're just like invulnerable, and just because you comment on it doesn't make it any less stupid.
Yeah.
In the movie. And I didn't like the characters. I didn't like John Cena, and I like John Cena in certain roles, obviously, but I didn't like him in this movie. This is the only Fast and Furious movie I've only watched one time. I'm only going to watch it a second time because this is a pick for cinemasochism before that movie comes out. Let's just to give you a preview on that.
Yes, we are definitely watching this for cinemasochism.
Yeah, and that's going to be the only other time I've watched this movie since I saw it in theaters.
And I'm in the same boat. I have not seen this movie since it came out.
Yeah. So there's that. But I mean, but I'm like, you know what? Every franchise can have a bump. You can have a bad movie. Mission Impossible 2 came out. We still,
yeah, but that's what Fast and Furious 2 and 3 were.
Fast and Furious 2 and 3 were decent movies. These weren't, great. But I mean, F9 being a horrible movie, I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe they had one bad movie. But that, like you said, the trailers for this new one, as much as I like a lot of the people they're adding to it, I like Alan Richardson. I like Brie Larson. I like a lot of these people, and of course, I still like a lot of people that are already in it. Whether it be Natalie Emmanuel and people like that. But it's like the trailers have done nothing for me. I watched this movie and like, this looks like more F9, and that's not a good thing.
My problem with 8, and the problem is that they're continuing that with 9 and now 10, is 8 was like, Vin Diesel's like, let's get serious. I want to be nominated for this shit. And it's like, Vin, you don't have that kind of range. Like, yes, Razzies, absolutely. Because that was my problem with 8, is he tried to make it too like serious. And the problem that I mainly have that just annoys me, and that's what they've really been doubling down on the last 2 films, and now in this one, is they keep trying to like, here's this new villain, but this villain. He was like, that's with Mo in this. He's generic guy who got ran off the fucking bridge in 5. When a random car got knocked off, and the villain from 9, he's from all the way back here. It's like, no, like just make new people villains. You don't have to bring it back to like fucking Fast and Furious 4 and 5 and 6 and say, they were there for that moment. No, shut up. Just make it someone new. Like, we don't have to go backtrack, because you know what? Every time they fucking do it, it doesn't make sense. Like, the whole Han death didn't make sense. And them saying like, well, Han didn't really die. He was off on the corner of the street with, was it Kurt Russell or something?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that doesn't fucking work. It's like, You're making your movie a joke by
You're just
doing
retconning everything. Yeah.
and then they're doing it with Momoa too because they gave that away in the trailer. It's like the villain in 5 was his father, and he was a part of that chase sequence in 5, and then he got like ran off the bridge into the water. It's like you could just not have him. You just could not have been. You could just not be there for that scene. You didn't have to bring him back into it, which is probably reasonable because aren't they supposed to like kill off Paul Walker technically in this film? Like,
I don't know anything about that.
They're supposed to effectively kill off Brian in this movie. Like, they gave that away. So, like, when you watch, Momoa will effectively like kill him off screen because Paul Walker's character was a part of that, and that's gonna be probably how they get rid of Paul Walker.
So I hadn't heard that, and I hope they don't. But I could see them doing that. I think Jason Momoa just in general, and I mean, granted, all I've seen is the trailers. But I don't like it. I think he's a bad actor in this. Like when he's doing like his Aquaman thing or kind of his dude bro kind of personality. I love Jason Momoa when he's like. Now I don't love the Aquaman movie. I think it's got problems, but him I like. But in this movie, I don't like the way he delivers lines. I just don't like the way he looks. It's just something about it.
It's all like trailer lines. Is the best way to describe it. They're lines for a trailer. They're not lines that make a character strong throughout a movie. They're one-liners that you would put on a trailer reel, which granted, that's all we've seen so far. But they all just feel like they're in the motivation for it to be in a trailer, not to be lines of dialogue in the actual film itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem we're going to potentially. I hope we're wrong. But I don't think we will be. And that's the problem. Also, on May 19th, the only other thing I really see worth talking about is on Hulu. I thought it was a TV series, but apparently it's a fucking movie. It's a White Man Can't Jump, which at first, Brian and I heard about this and we were like, oh, fuck. Okay. So this is going to be a thing. I just watched the most recent trailer for it. It didn't look that bad. I didn't hate it. I'm not saying it's going to be as good as the first one, but the newest trailer left me somewhat intrigued to check it out because I went from like no chance am I watching this to I'll check it out, see what it looks like. I'm assuming you didn't watch that trailer?
I've only seen the one trailer for it.
Yeah, no, they actually dropped like an actual like story trailer for it.
Yeah, well, because it's like, well, we can jump. Obviously, we love the original, but what makes that movie is the chemistry between the two guys. And so this new movie is being made, which I think I'm not even familiar with the two guys that are playing it. I know the white man, the titular white man. I had never heard of him when he hosted Saturday Night Live.
He's a rapper. He's a rapper.
Yeah, and I watched that, and he's fucking awful. So that did not help my anticipation of this movie. And then, oh wait, it's the other guy. I'm not in front of me. Is he the one from Coming to America? Is that?
I think so.
Okay, so I actually liked him. That movie had problems, but I actually liked him.
That was the only thing. That was the thing with Coming to America was that the kids were all
the
great.
Younger group was
the original cast that sucked.
Yeah, but the trailer did nothing for me, and it's one of those movies that I'm gonna watch it. Maybe it'll be good, but it's like I just think, you know what? Even if it sucks, the original's still there, so I'm not gonna be less like, oh, they shouldn't remake this. It's awful. It's like, fine, remake it. I might just end up ignoring it. You know?
Yeah. Going to
there's one other movie that week. It's again kind of nothing. It's called Master Gardener. Paul Schrader movie starring Joel Edgerton, Sigourney Weaver, some other people. It looks like a drama that I'm going to skip. So anyway,
yeah, I saw a trailer the other day. It really didn't do much for me.
Yeah,
but yeah, May 26th, we have like a lot of movies that come out, but only one of them is like really important, and the rest are like they're movies. You got Kandahar, which is your latest Gerard Butler action film, which some of them work and some of them don't.
Yeah, Rick Romanwa, the same director who's directed An Angel Has Fallen and Greenland and some other stuff. He's kind of his go-to guy. It's like they're like a team now. And I actually just saw a trailer for it for the first time this past week at the theater, and it looks good, but it looks like just every other Gerard Butler.
It looks fine. But I would think it would also serve the same purpose if it just being on Netflix and not trying to release it into.
It could absolutely be a Netflix movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I would have probably said it would have been smarter to sell this off than lose the box office revenue. About My Father looks fucking awful. I saw that trailer. It looked.
I've seen that trailer about 3,000 times. Every time I see a movie, they play that trailer, and it's like wasn't really funny the first time, and now it just makes me mad to have to watch it.
Yeah. You got Brett Kirsch. Is it Kirscher?
Brett Kreischer
and The Machine, which I saw the trailer the first time and I was like, The only reason I want to say this is Mark Hamill, but I don't even know if it's worth checking out because I've never watched any of Bert's comedy, so I don't know how funny he really is or not. The trailer didn't do much to sell me on him. It's more Mark Hamill, but I also probably don't care enough to check this movie out.
He can be really funny. And sometimes, but so not everything hits. But he has this story. This is like one of his most famous bits, telling the story of the machine when he was in college. And he actually got roped in, basically found himself running around with the Russian mob. And it's actually a very funny story. It's a very funny bit he does in his stand-up comedy. And then they found out they're making a movie of this. I'm like, okay, fine, make a movie of it. Which again, I see it working as something they throw up like on Netflix, where all stand-up comedy, premieres. As a theatrical movie, no, not really, especially not in the summer because A, you got so much competition, and B, it's like I think this is going to have a limited audience. I think his fans are going to love this movie, but I don't think it's the kind of thing that's going to like create new fans.
I think it's hoping for because usually every year when they actually attempt it, there's always one R-rated comedy that works and everyone wants to go see.
That one's coming later in the
exactly. That's coming later.
Yeah.
It's not The Machine. I think that's what it's hoping to do, is to be that, but this is not the movie that's going to do that. Also in theaters, definitely not anywhere in my theaters, we got The Wrath of Becky. Becky came out, I want to say it was 2020.
I still haven't seen it, so
it was it stars, I can't remember the freaking actress's name. Young actress, is it Lulu Wilson? I don't know.
Was it Haley?
Yeah, Lulu Wilson.
Oh, I think somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, Lulu Wilson's her name. She was in Becky, which was basically about this girl. Her father was played by Joel McHale. They're like hanging out at a cabin in the woods, and like Kevin James is like this neo-Nazi like jackass, and like they try to break into their house, and she has to defend it, kind of thing. This time around, it's Sean William Scott, who we like, who's going to be the villain in this. And basically, they kidnap her dog, and she's out for vengeance. So it's basically Wrath of Becky meets John Wick, but without the gunplay. I saw the trailer. It didn't really do a whole lot for me. The first Becky film was fine for what it was, but nothing to really write home about. The sequel doesn't look like anything better, but that's going to be out. But obviously, the biggest film that's coming out on May 26th is Disney's live-action adaptation of The Little Mermaid. I feel like this movie, we've been talking about this movie for years now, because we have been. It's finally coming out. I'm optimistic. I know the teaser trailer didn't really excite anybody. I don't care about the casting that a lot of people care about. I think attacking this girl for being Ariel, like, dude, why? Like, because she's not a fucking ginger in this? Like, I get Ariel, the cartoon, was sexy, but it's like, I'm not going to judge the movie based off that. I do think Melissa McCarthy as Ursula was probably perfect casting on paper. Whether or not that portrays on screen is an entirely different situation. But Little Mermaid to me has always been a movie that's like, it's good because the songs were good and the secondary characters like Sebastian and Flounder, like they were what made me like Little Mermaid. I didn't really care about, the human characters or anything about that in the movie. So I'm definitely going to check it out because I check out every one of these. But I'm not going in with like hate for it. I'm looking in with like, I would like it to be good, but I'm not expecting to be blown away by it. I just don't want it to be a Lion King situation, which I think it will be. I think Lion King was its own thing. I think that was a huge misfire, even though it made like $1 billion. But yeah, I know you feel, I don't think you feel strongly really about this either, but what are your thoughts?
I just don't fucking care about this movie. It's like, first of all, I'm not a fan of the whole Disney live action remakes trend where it's like, let's just cash in. We don't want to make any more crappy sequels. So instead, let's do the same movie, but live action. It's like when they were doing like Maleficent, which I enjoyed, or Cruella even, where it's like, okay, we're going to take the story, but we're going to take a different angle. We're going to tell something else about the story, a different angle you haven't looked at it from, that kind of thing. I like that because there's a point to that. When it's Beauty and the Beast, when it's Aladdin, when it's Lion King, Even Jungle Book, which I hear Jungle Book is very good. I've never watched it because I just don't care. Because the ones I have watched, like the Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, it's the same story, but really kind of inferior. And it's like,
I'm going to defend on Beauty and the Beast. I think Beauty and the Beast live action is superior to the cartoon.
oh,
but
good God, we might have just ended the Movie Crusaders.
I do. I think the live action is better than the cartoon.
Okay, well, we're just gonna skip over that. So I'm just like, I don't care about it to start with. And then the casting of Ariel, it's like, I don't see why you need to change her look from the animated film to this one, but fine, it's not a deal breaker. I'm not going to be one of these guys who's crying, that it's woke casting or that it's reverse racism or whatever these people are screaming. Whatever. I more have a problem with the fact that when I heard her sing, I was not that impressed by it, and that fact that her eyes look like a fish because they're this far apart. Sorry, that was probably cruel. But yeah, and then you get into like the Sebastian and Flounder, and some things were really fun about the movie. And here it's like they're in this movie, but they're still gonna have them talk and stuff. So it's like that uncanny valley of they just look weird having these basically live action, creatures sing and stuff. I'm not sure that kind of works. Melissa McCarthy, I agree, perfect casting on paper. I imagine it's probably still perfect in the movie, but obviously we haven't seen it, so I can't.
All I know is the one thing that's ruining it for me already is these stupid commercials they have her doing since the Super Bowl, the booking.com where she's singing. I'm already over hearing her sing because these commercials play ad nauseum, and I'm like, is this going to make me already hate her performance going into
I watch almost no broadcast television, so I haven't seen it since the Super Bowl. So
every time I'm watching sports,
yeah,
it's on, and I'm just like, I'm so sick and tired of listening to Melissa McCarthy sing. And I know that she's going to have to sing at least one, if not two numbers in this movie.
Yeah, but this movie, it's going to be huge. I'll talk about it when we get to the box office predictions. I have no doubts about that. Personally, though, and I may see it at some point. Like I said, there's some I have seen. There's some of the Disney live action I still never bothered to see, but I just don't care.
I still haven't seen Pan.
I will say I love the original Little Mermaid. It kind of kicked off that Disney Renaissance. People usually refer to the 90s Disney. This was actually 89, but this is kind of what kicked off the Renaissance. And I think, is it at the kind of the lower end of that tier of Disney movies that kind of late 80s, early 90s run? Yes, but it's still, I think, one of the best Disney movies.
Here's my question to you. Are they going to redo this like they did Aladdin? Because Aladdin, they redid Jasmine to make her more like real with today. The whole point of Little Mermaid is that she had to change to basically find a male.
Well, we've already heard about them changing lyrics to some of the songs because like in Kiss the Girl, they don't want to seem like they're, trying to kiss her without her consent. I'm like, she's the one that wants him to kiss her. The song is about her wanting him to kiss her.
Literally on the boat.
It's her friends trying to get him to kiss her.
Exactly. So it's not. Oh my God.
So, but apparently they've changed lyrics to make sure there's consent. I'm like, oh my God, that's made me roll my eyes. That's the wokeness that'll piss me off.
But
there's that. And I guarantee you they would probably add a new song just because they want it, something eligible for Oscar nomination. It has to be a new song. So I guarantee you they'll shove a new song in there like they did with Aladdin.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to change the ending now because it was all about you have to change yourself to find true love, and I was like, oh, I wonder if you're going to change that. They didn't change it with Beauty and the Beast, which was like Stockholm Syndrome kind of thing. They just gave them a little more time to actually fall in love with each other without it feeling like entrapment kind of thing. But that was the big thing that pissed off everyone about Aladdin is they basically changed up Jasmine to make her more empowered, which I was like, I don't care. It's fine. Whatever. But everyone got so angry for that. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with Little Mermaid. Moving on to June 2nd, we've got honestly, after CinemaCon this past week, a lot of buzz going around for The Boogeyman.
Well, I've heard a lot of negative buzz about it.
I've heard some positive buzz.
Oh,
which it's a horror movie. It's you're gonna get both. They're two sides of the same coin. Usually, if someone's overly praising it, then it's gonna suck.
Well, here's the thing: is you're also showing it at CinemaCon, okay, which is like theater owners and things like that, and maybe a few movie pundits and stuff that but it's not the horror audience who's going there opening night. So it depends on if the people like horror, it's not like they're gonna like it. If it's not your thing and they were just forced to sit through it, they didn't enjoy it.
I mean, let's put it this way. I've now watched 2 trailers for this movie. I haven't really been sold on either one. I really haven't. I mean, I'll check it out at some point.
That's the theme of this summer. We'll check it out. I don't know if it'll be good.
Okay, there's a lot of good movies coming out this summer that I'm actually generally excited for. we're probably right now, like with May, you got Guardians, you got Fast X, and you got Little Mermaid, and then there's like everything else. And like we're more excited about some of the like this tiny stuff like Fool's Paradise and shit.
Yeah.
Boogeyman, like I said, it feels like a Babadook situation.
Oh, that's not a good thing for me.
It's not, because I hate the Babadook. I don't think that movie's good at all. I think it's
You saved the show. Okay, cool.
It's so over indulgent bullshit, much like It Follows, where it's like, oh, it was the mother's cycle. Shut the fuck up. Like, have you watched that, kid? I'm surprised it hadn't happened sooner. But it was just like with this one, I liked Chris Messina in Air. So he's in this, and I'm like, oh, but he also feels like the father who won't believe them until it's too late, which the trailer kind of gave that away. What I did like about the trailer was that it's not a gag, but it's the scene where the girl has the ball and she rolls under the bed. That's a beautifully well done horror scene right there. But that's just one scene. One scene is not going to save the whole fucking film. Also, can we sidebar real quick? Did you hear from CinemaCon fucking Smiles getting a fucking sequel?
The first one wasn't good.
Smile is awful. It's an awful movie, and it is getting a fucking sequel. But yeah, Boogeyman, I'm not generally excited about. Brian doesn't seem excited about either, and we like horror films. But yeah, this is not. We could be totally wrong. It could be great.
I will say on almost any movie I talk about where I say this doesn't look good, I hope I'm wrong. I like to enjoy movies.
Let's put it this way. After Boogeyman, the next few films I'm actually generally excited for. Okay. Coming up to my number 2 or number 3 most anticipated film of the year, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I loved the first film, much like everybody. I think everyone loved the first one because I think we were all in the same boat. Was like, really, another fucking Spider-Man film and it's animated? Come on. Like, I think we're getting a little Spider-Man'd out. And then it came out, you're like, holy shit, this was actually really fucking good. And then it won the Oscar. And so now we're getting it, which this was supposed to come out summer last year. This was a last year summer release. And it got pushed back this year. And now you have the worry, because you talked to me about this after you watched the trailer, you think there's too much going on. Now, what's weird is they dropped the part 1 thing off the title because it was Across the Spider-Verse part 1. Now
that's only because they retitled the second one too. I think it's Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Did they? Okay. So because I noticed that they dropped the part 1 part of it.
Yeah, I think the second one just didn't have a title at the time when they called it part 1.
But yeah, no, I watched the trailer. Dude, this looks great. It looks great. I have 100% confidence that I'm going to enjoy it. Will I enjoy it more than the first one? Who knows? But I am genuinely excited for this. I love the animation style. I love all the new things that look like we're going to get in this film, which is the thing that you're worried about, is you think there's just too much in this. But I like the story, the actual story. We got to see what the story is about. Him seeing something that's going to happen and him trying to go, I'm Spider-Man. I can save everybody, which we've seen with Tom Holland Spider-Man. That's not the case. So I really am excited for the journey that we're going to see Miles go on. Plus not everyone, because we didn't see Nick Cage. And I don't know about Mulaney, because Mulaney was also, dealing with drug stuff, the past year. But Haley Steinfeld's back. I'm happy for that. Obviously Jake Johnson. Jack Johnson. I always call him Nick because he's fucking Nick Miller from New Girl. He's always Nick to me. I'm excited he's back. I think Oscar Isaac, looking like the villain, but he's probably not. But it's
I don't know the full plot. It seems like there's something that Miles wants to stop, but it's like it's basically going to endanger all the other. He wants to save somebody in his universe, but it's going to endanger everybody else's universe. And so I think it's more the rest of them trying to stop him, and kind of Oscar Isaac leading that charge. So it's not really the villain so much as the antagonist.
He comes off as the villain, but I don't think he is necessarily the villain.
Right.
Kind of thing. It's no different than when Civil War, when Captain America's trying to stop everybody because it's Bucky and Iron Man's after him, but Iron Man's not the villain.
Right, they are villains, yeah.
But he is in a way, depending on whose perspective he comes.
Again, this is just what I'm gleaning from the trailer. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah. I talked the whole time. Go ahead.
No, I mean, the first one was a pleasant surprise for me because, like you, I was like, I don't need an animated Spider-Man movie, especially while there's a Spider-Man franchise going, a live-action version. If there wasn't one going, I could see it, but there was already one going. But I mean, Lord Miller produced it and I think co-wrote it. Got them. The animation style is unique, and I love the animation style of it. So all of that, I end up really loving the first one. This one I think is going to be just, I honestly do think I'm going to love this movie. It does look like just a lot happening, but that could just be the way the trailer's edited, and also could just, even if it is a lot going on, they might be able to handle that well. Kind of like we were talking about in our weekly Crusaders, talking about Oscars. Like, there could be a lot going on, but if it's directed well, if you handle it, if you keep it, we can understand what's going on. It's a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah. Not really anything else for me that week. Anything pop up for you?
There was a movie that popped up called Simulant, which I don't know much about. It was one of those. It's a sci-fi movie, I think. The cast is what jumped out at me. It has Robbie Amell, Jordana Brewster, Simu Liu, Sam Worthington. So some notable names, but I can't even tell at this point if this is theaters or streaming or
It
what.
says theaters plus VOD for mine.
Oh yes, okay. So it's going to be something that's basically VOD, except for a couple like New York, LA theaters.
Which
But
to me
based on the
seems like
cast, it's the kind of thing I'll check out. But it's like,
yeah, if it's a straight to VOD, it's got maybe like a 15% chance of it actually being good.
yeah, right.
And so that's why I didn't like. I saw the picture. I was like, I know Brian's gonna bring it up, but I know nothing about this, so maybe you do. But next we're gonna go to June 9th. We've got, I think I see 2 movies.
I only have 2 for that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot, but only 2 that I see worth actually like talking about. First one, we literally just talked about this with The Machine, of being an R-rated comedy that people want to see. There are 2 R-rated comedies coming out this year that I feel are going to be that box office hit. This is one of them in my eyes. Might not be in Brian's eyes.
That wasn't the one I was thinking of. No.
Yeah, you're probably thinking of the other one. So there's 2.
Actually, there's another one that you aren't thinking of, but I'll talk about that one too. Good.
Actually, scratch that. There are 3. No, because the next week there's another one. But yeah, so this one, I'm sorry, I laughed.
No, it's fine. That was just before that we're thinking about. It must be a good comedy summer. Okay.
Good. I'm glad. Then.
We need more big comedies. Anyway, go ahead.
This one here, I laughed when I watched the trailer. But I also I love dogs, and I have like 9 dogs. So this one's gonna hit me perfectly, and that's Strays. I laugh every fucking time at the trailer when the fucking eagle grabs Jamie Foxx's dog. It's funny. It's funny to me. And I don't, this movie could suck. This movie could not be funny at all, but that trailer works for me. And I feel like it's going to work for a lot of people. Box office wise, it's probably not going to make a ton, but I think enjoyability, it can work. It's basically Homeward Bound, the R-rated edition, and I'm fucking here for it. I know you weren't that crazy about the trailer.
Well, here's the thing: is there are definitely funny moments in the trailers, and it watching this R-rated comedy with it, like R-rated Homeward Bound, you described it, it's a perfect description of it. I think can be funny. My problem is, especially with kind of some of the same people involved, this feels like Sausage Party, where it was basically a one joke movie, like, oh look, it's a cartoon, but they're swearing. Isn't that funny that they can swear? And that joke got old real quick in Sausage Party, and you're like, okay, that's all they have. It's like, oh, let's just say fuck a lot. And this one, again, I hope it's good, but I'm worried that the one joke of, oh look, the dogs are swearing, is going to be like their only joke, and that's going to get old fast.
It does have the potential of that, but I feel like with Will Ferrell, Jamie Foxx, and the rest of the cast, Will Forte plays the actual human in the film. I feel like their comedicness.
Sausage Party had a great cast too, though.
Sausage Party was also ran by Seth Rogen, who was still all about getting high every 5 seconds. And it was mostly about that until the end, where it just went completely off the rail. Sausage Party had the potential to be something amazing and ended up just being fucking dumb. I'm not saying Strays has the potential of that. I'm just saying it looks funny. And that's all it needs to be. It doesn't have to be this revolutionary story or anything. It just has to be an enjoyable 90 to 100 hour or 100 minutes.
100 hours. Holy shit.
100 hours.
I'm not watching that.
And if it can do that, great. If it can make me, while watching it, going, oh, that reminds me of my dog, then it's doing its job, and it just has to be funny, and that's all it needs to do. It's a low bar. It's a very low bar that you just have to jump over. And I feel like Strays could do it, but it could also be incredibly disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, I'm hoping this one breaks the trend. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Now, we've talked about Transformers a lot on this channel. The cartoon series was great. The cartoon movie in the 80s was great. Then Michael Bay got involved. And then Michael Bay ruined the Transformers. But after the horrifically awful Last Night, Bumblebee came out. No Michael Bay involved, unless he produced. He might have produced.
A producer, executive producer, or something, but he was not like he's not really hands on.
He was away. He was no longer in the director's chair, and Bumblebee was great. I loved Bumblebee, especially that first 5 minutes. That first 5 minutes, everyone was like,
"That's the movie we wanted.
This is the one we want." And now we're getting an animated film of that, and the cast alone for that makes you go, "Fuck yes!" I think we're finally getting Transformers the way it's intended. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I loved Beast Wars, which is basically what this is. I watched Beast Wars every day before school. It was one of the very, very first like CG cartoon shows. So these animal Transformers, Optimus Primal and all them, I know these characters. Much like when Age of Extinction came out and we got the Dinobots. I was like, oh, and then they fucking did nothing with them. This I feel like is going to be a different situation. We're getting, once again, we're getting away from the Michael Bay-ness of this. The Autobots like Prime and all them, they are looking, they still have some Michael Bay in it, but they are looking more like they should. And plus Anthony Ramos, who we both love from Hamilton and The Heights, he's the lead human in this. But from what I could tell in the trailer that they just released last week, it looks like it's more Transformer-centric base and less human-centric base, which has always been the biggest problem. Is they made the humans too front and center, and the Transformers taking the back seat until you get to the big battle sequences. This one feels more Transformer-centric with Anthony Ramos just kind of there, which I'm fucking all about. Nothing against Anthony Ramos, but this is a Transformers movie. Let's have the Transformers be in it. Plus, you're bringing in Unicron, which Unicron. I'm so excited for this. Plus, the last part of that trailer gave me remnants of the first part of Bumblebee. I'm actually finally excited for a Transformers film again. God save everybody if you fuck this up and make another Michael Bay film. I will burn this fucking place to the ground. Stop. This is like Jurassic World. Stop fucking with my franchise and make these good again. What are your thoughts on Rise of the Beasts?
So the first Transformers movie, I was initially quite disappointed with because it was not the movie we wanted. It didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like the way there were some of the characters. The focus so much on the humans, kind of some of the juvenile humor in it. But I mean, I came around to a point where like I enjoy the movie even if it's not what I want it to be, and it definitely has its problems. 2 and 3, I actually enjoy those quite a bit in the same way. It's like they aren't the movies I would make for Transformers.
You give me shit for liking Beauty and the Beast live action. Revenge of the Fallen is
better than Beauty and the Beast.
No, it's not. Revenge of the Fallen is fucking garbage. I will give you the third one. The third one was actually solid. The second one is fucking horrendous.
That being said, the first 3 I can enjoy, like I said, just based on just taking them for what they are, just noisy blockbuster action movies, fine. I thought that Age of Extinction was fucking long and slow and boring as shit, and I just didn't enjoy that at all. And by the time last night was awful. That one's actually literally a chore to sit through.
That is a sadomasochism movie, but I don't even know if we want to even make it.
I don't want it, especially because it goes on for, isn't it like 8 hours long? It certainly feels like it.
It's almost 3 hours long, but it feels like 6.
And they start bringing King Arthur and all this weird shit. What the fuck ever. So that was awful. Bumblebee restored everyone's faith. Like Bumblebee was fun. It made them look the way we wanted them to look. It made the action we wanted to look. It had the better tone to it. Of course, you have Haley Steinfeld and some other great cast members that made it fun.
It was a simple story. Just say, look, we can do this. Trust us in what we can do.
And I was so mad when they were going to make another movie, and they're like, oh, no, we're not gonna have Travis Knight directed, who did the original, who did Bumblebee, and who also was he's like the head of Leica Animation, who makes some good movies. He's not gonna do it. Gonna have this other guy do it. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I don't know why you'd want to get rid of a good thing, but fine. And this one seems like it's kind of bridging the two, because it's like they still want to say that they're in the same universe as the original Transformers movies. And this one takes place in, I think, 94. I think it says.
Yeah, it's 94.
94. So it's after Bumblebee, but it's before the first Transformers movie. But yeah, like you said, it kind of seems like a bridge, but they definitely still have more of that. They're keeping the look from Bumblebee, where it's a simplified design. You can actually tell who's who during fight scenes, things like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely more focused on the Transformers. I never watched Beast Wars because like when I was a kid, Transformers I watched before school, after school, whenever I could, the original series.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of the toys, all that kind of thing. By the time Beast Wars came out, I was aged out of it. I wasn't.
Yeah, Beast Wars was like 95, 96.
Yeah. So I had never seen Beast Wars, so I know nothing about it, honestly. But this, I mean, I'm hopeful. It looks good. It could still fall into a lot of the same traps as other Transformers movies, but I'm optimistic about this one.
Here's my main thing. Think about it, especially now with Unicron being the villain. If this is supposed to bridge to the Michael Bay verse, which I hope that they eventually just decide to scrap that, it's going to be very hard for them to pretend that Transformers don't exist if Unicron comes to Earth, because he's a fucking robot planet. So if you're just going to start over and do it like this, where it's in the 90s and we're pretending Michael Bay stuff never happened, which I hope to God that's what they're doing, it's going to be very, very hard to explain away Unicron.
I would think they would, although keeping all the same, the voices and the looks of them for the most part are the same. It's like I can't see them calling it a reboot.
Optimus looks different. He does. If you actually pay attention, he looks different. So that's why I'm like, they're slowly but surely moving it away from Bay. But like I said, I have high expectations for this, and I hope to God they don't fuck it up. Going to June 16th, we've got 5 movies coming out. 3 in theaters, 2 on, 4 in theaters, 1 on streaming. Let's get the one that we care about the least out of the way, and that's Wes Anderson's Asteroid City.
So I had that for the 23rd, but either way, we'll talk about it. Go ahead.
Well, it's probably in my thing. It's probably the short or like limited.
It could be like a limited and then going wide or something. Yeah.
Never have I seen a cast list that I so badly want to see in a movie that I want to see less.
That's most Wes Anderson movies, honestly.
It really, really is, because every time the Asteroid City trailer comes up and I'm looking at the list, I'm like, I love everybody in this fucking movie, but I have no interest in seeing this fucking film whatsoever.
Wes Anderson has a definite style to him, which some people love. More power to him. I could not be less interested in the movie. I don't want to sit there and watch just still frames of pretty posed people talking to each other in this droll monotone, and it's like it's just not my kind of thing. And like I said, if other people like it, great. But I love this cast. I'll probably catch this eventually on streaming or something, but I am in no rush to see this movie.
It works on like Isle of Dogs and like Fantastic Mr. Fox, but like when you're actually seeing the actors and stuff, it's just like, it's oh god, yeah. I'll check it at some point, but with everything that's coming out that week, that is like the bottom of the poll for me. Also, on Netflix, we have Extraction 2, a movie that shouldn't have a sequel based off of how it ended, but we are getting one. But I'm also not angry or upset about it either. What were your thoughts on Extraction?
Extraction, I mean, Extraction is what you expect it to be. It's a great action scene. There's some great one-shot things going on there. The action is phenomenally done, especially certain chase scenes, things like that. It is directed by like the John Wick movies. It is directed by a former stunt performer. His name's Sam Hargrave, I think it is. So it's so obviously he knows how to do action very well, and you can tell that it really shows in the first movie. The story was kind of a lot of the characters didn't care so much about, but it was a movie you just watched because it had cool action to it, and that's all I'm expecting from this one.
The first one is basically 2 scenes. You got the one off, which was fantastic, and then the final battle on the bridge. You watch that movie for those 2 scenes. The trailer for this, that one alone, I'm already there for it, because that trailer for the new one was like a Prison Break almost. that looked fucking insane and looked great. Trying to find reasonings for Hemsworth to still be there, that's a whole other thing that I guess I'm just gonna have to like kind of like turn my brain off on. But I'm definitely gonna check it out because it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And I want to just be entertained. It's one of those where it's like that one can be like those old school Stallone, Schwarzenegger, hell, even Seagal movies. I don't need a big story. I just have to be entertained for 2 hours. And if you can do that, more power to you. And I think Extraction 2 can definitely do that. Next, we've got the latest Pixar film, Elemental. Now, we shot a video last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year. About the potential death of Pixar. Elemental.
Definitely the decline of Pixar.
It definitely doesn't make me think, oh my God, Pixar's back. Because Lightyear, I liked Lightyear. I did. But Lightyear didn't move the needle one way or another. If anything, it moved it back even further because people were like, wow, even fucking Toy Story couldn't save the budget or save the box office for Pixar. Pixar, one thing I like about Elemental is that it's at least going back to doing something unique and different. But the first trailer didn't really do anything to make me really care about wanting to see it. I'm going to, but it didn't move my needle for like excitement to want to see it. Visually, Pixar is always going to look great. They always look good. But yeah, it's not of all the stuff happening that weekend. That one is also kind of like Asteroid City. It's not high on my thing. Plus, knowing that Disney Plus will probably have it on Disney Plus within 3 months, I'll probably end up seeing it in 3 months. Your thoughts on it?
Pixar for me has always been kind of overrated. Maybe just because I'm older, I don't know. But it's like when Pixar first started out, I'm like, wow, they're making some great movies. The stuff Disney doesn't really even do anymore. But then, like, as it goes on, I've been less and less impressed. I think they're fine movies. They just aren't for me, kind of thing. And then when even Disney doesn't show any, faith in their own movies, they keep shoving them all straight to streaming, kind of thing. It's like, like Onward came out to theaters, but of course got cut short because of the pandemic. But then after that, they went all straight to Disney Plus until Lightyear came out, and that one bombed at the box office. So when we get to the box office section, I don't know how to predict this one, honestly. Yeah. The trailer's fine. I'll go see it. I'll probably go see it in the theater just because and there's a lot that week, but maybe sometime the next week or two. But like you said, it'll show up in Disney Plus probably before the. Yeah, but it'll show up in Disney Plus within a couple months, and so I'll definitely watch it at some point. Yeah, Pixar is just kind of whatever for me.
Yeah. Next, we've got another R-rated comedy that. Sorry, it looks fucking funny to me. Every time I watch the trailer, I get a kick out of it, and that is The Blackening. We are definitely not the viewers for this. Like, they are definitely not aiming at someone like Sean and Brian for this film. But you know what? The trailer looks good. It's basically I forgot how many, is 5 or 6
something like that.
Black friends. They all basically go to a cabin to go party, get drunk, whatever, and they kind of like Evil Dead. They find this instead of finding like the Necronomicon book, they find this game called The Blackening, which just and Brian, I know he's gonna go. It's the same thing with Strays. Like, yes, the one joke is this, but can it excel from that?
Yeah, even the poster just says they can't all die first. It's like, okay, that joke's been kind of played into the ground.
Yeah, but so I already know where Brian's going with this, but it's more the individual characters from the trailer that worked for me, because there's literally like one point where they start the game and they basically get like a jigsaw guy basically like saying, you're gonna play this game. Was it the least? I think it was like the least blackest person like dies or survives or whatever, and then they're all basically trying to decide who's more black between them, and that whole scene was just hilarious to me. Like, I thought it was funny because it was like, what was the one was like, I voted for Trump twice, and I'm like, motherfucker. Like, that shit's hilarious. And then there's like, it's a blink and you'll miss it, because obviously at the end of the trailer it's going quick. But there's the one point where one of them grabs a gun and goes sideways with it, and like the buddy goes and does this to turn it right side up, so it's less like, it's like it's little things like that just like, this could be great. And this is one of the other comedies that I think could be really good. Do I think it's going to be like a box office like huge success? No. Do I think it's going to make money? If it's good, absolutely. I am excited to see it. I think this looks like a lot of fun.
I mean, I do think it looks fun. I mean, obviously, in the past few years, we've had like the kind of the rise of the black horror movies, especially with the Jordan Peele's stuff, and then with other things like the Candyman remake or reboot, or whatever you call it, came out, and so, but those have all been serious, and so I think to have one like this, which is kind of it's a horror comedy, I think it looks pretty funny, and no, I might not be their prime target audience, but I think anybody can enjoy it. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's just one of those like, I want to go see this in theaters, but I also don't want to like upset anyone by laughing at jokes that maybe we're not supposed to laugh at because we're not the target audience. So I might just have to wait to watch this not in theaters.
Maybe leave your hood at home, Sean.
I don't want to offend anybody, but damn it, there's a lot of funny fucking lines in that movie. But I was like, am I allowed to laugh at this? I don't know if I am, but I am laughing at it. But the biggest movie, obviously, that's coming out that weekend is The Flash. Once again, another movie that we've been waiting on far too long. Word of mouth on this has been incredibly positive, but we're already starting to see people who are like trying to knock it down a peg because they think the praise is too high. I'm kind of in the middle here. I'm excited for it. Obviously, I think most of us are excited for it for one big reason, which is Michael Keaton. I thought Ezra Miller's Flash was really good in both Justice Leagues, but obviously what they've been doing in their personal life, Brian and I do our best to try to not bring that into the films. We try to watch the movies for what they are. It's why we're still able to watch Kevin Spacey movies and not feel bad about it, and stuff like that, among other actors and actresses that have done some shady shit. Because we're able to fucking know that this is a separate world kind of thing, technically. But this one's going to be a little hard to kind of do that with to a point, but I'm still going to watch this as this is Barry Allen. This is The Flash. This looks like it could be really good, but it also looks like it could be a mess. Plus also knowing that this is supposed to be the thing that starts up James Gunn's DC world. I'm intrigued as hell to see it. Like I said, good word of mouth going right now, but I'm also seeing a lot of backlash because every time I'm seeing someone praise this movie, there's like 15 people. Once again, the fucking internet can be going, really? You're praising this motherfucker who did all that? I'm like, oh my God, just shut up. Like, can we just watch a movie? Like, if clearly DC thought enough to not recast his ass, and keep fucking making this movie with all the stuff that they did, which now we're about to run into that again with Kang and Jonathan Majors, but I'm excited to see this movie, mainly because I really, really want to see Michael Keaton back as Batman. I hope it's good. One part that isn't really working for me is Supergirl, and that's because I already know that they're going to be recasting her right away. So it's like it's hard to get it's a Shazam situation again. It's like, should I really care about these characters if I know they're not going to be coming back anytime soon? What say you?
Well, first of all, in terms of the recasting, this film was shot before most of the shit with him happened. Them happened. I think like the thing where he like choked some girl or something that had happened before that, but
He's
everything
done
else,
like 18 things in the last like 2 years.
yeah, but most of that happened. This film's been shot for 2 years plus at this point.
Yeah.
Before most of that stuff went down. So do I think they should have recasted them? No, I think it's dumb. Again, I'm gonna watch this movie and I don't take any of that in consideration.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how much I care about this movie just because this universe is ending. It almost feels like it's already over, and this is kind of like, oh, here's one more we had still in the closet we forgot about.
No, we still got Aquaman.
Yeah, well, there's still that one too, which I care about just as much about. The Flash, I have enjoyed in his roles, like you said, in the other movies. I think he's one of the better parts of them, but I also don't know if I care to watch him for a whole movie. The Michael Keaton thing, it's like, oh, it's
much less two of him.
It's nice to see Michael Keaton come back, but at the same time, it's like, it just feels gimmicky, and I don't know if it's what I really want. But he is one of the bright spots I am looking forward to in this movie. All in all, it's a movie that I'm gonna see, and I've heard good things about, and I think it'll be fun. But I'm just like, I don't know how much I really care about it. As far as this is the movie that reboots the DC universe, I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just like, okay, this movie ends and then we're starting a new universe. Because if they try to actually explain it somehow in this movie, I think that's the dumbest thing they could do. If you're going to start it over, just start it over and not pretend that this is some pivotal. This is the thing that changes it all. But
you're gonna be disappointed.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think Keaton was a gimmick because he was supposed to be in Batgirl as well. I think he was supposed to be a potential staple point in the franchise before all that shit happened because he was
I
supposed to be.
like him. I'm glad to see him back in the role. I feel like it's like, well, our own characters can't really sell a movie on their own, so let's bring back a popular one.
I mean, they do that all the time.
Yeah.
So they do that on TV and everything. Going to June 23rd, I only really see one movie. Do you see anything else?
I have two.
I think I know the other movie. I don't even know what the hell it is.
There's a movie called, the one you probably don't have is called God as a Bullet.
Yeah, I looked at it. I don't know what the hell it is.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau, Micah Monroe, Jamie Foxx, J.D. Roy Jones, Ethan Suplee, Jonathan Tucker, he's in there. Based on true events, Vice Detective Bob Hightower finds his ex-wife murdered and daughter kidnapped by a cult. Frustrated by the botched official investigation, he quits the force and infiltrates the cult to hunt down the leader with the help of the cult's only female victim escapee. This feels to me like it's something that's going to be on straight-to-video streaming. I don't know, but
it's bolded on my website as a theatrical release. Now, maybe that's because there hasn't been like a legit actual trailer for it yet.
I think if it comes out theatrically, it's going to be small and it's going to be short because there's no way this movie survives in the summer. But yeah, that's just one that's coming out. I saw I mentioned, but I don't know anything about it.
This is clearly a off week because they know Flash and Blackening and basically all those movies are gonna Pixar as well. If it's a hit, they're gonna carry over to a second week. So they're kind of dumping this and the other film that we're about to talk about off, which is Jennifer Lawrence's R comedy No Hard Feelings. I love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's great. I think she's funny. This movie does not look good. It looks bad. You and I both saw this trailer. We're like,
the trailer, and I'm like, it looks like, oh look, it's Jennifer Lawrence doing an R-rated comedy. It's like that's like their whole pitching point. It's like, I've been sick of Jennifer Lawrence for a long time. Now she took some time off. I think she had a kid, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
So she took some time off. So we weren't just seeing her constantly like we had been for a long time. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm still just like, I'm Jennifer Lawrence out. Now this is something different than we've seen from her, really, and so maybe it's funny, but I don't know.
The problem is it's not her. It's the cast around her that just doesn't seem funny. I don't think that the co-lead with her, at least from what I watched in the trailer, I don't like the performances out of it, and it just seems like it feels like she's doing 90% of the work and everyone else is doing 10%, and she really needs at least a 50% like co-lead, like with Silver Linings Playbook, which was fantastic. Her and Bradley Cooper meshed perfectly. Mm-hmm. And then you had a great, casting around them to help elevate their characters more. This just feels like she's out there trying to do everything she can, and she ain't getting anything from everybody else. At least from the trailer.
That's what I understand. She asked for some insane amount of money to do this movie, so they probably didn't have any money to cast anybody else good.
Yeah, because I'm just I every time I've seen this trailer pop up, it just looks. I feel bad and like painful for her that she's doing this movie. It looks bad. I have zero interest in checking this out. The only thing that will make me check this out is if it comes out and people are going, "This is fucking great." I'm like, all right, well, maybe I missed something in the trailer, but right now that I have zero interest in seeing this film. And I think you're the same.
Not zero interest, but I'm not going in with high expectations. I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah. Next week, June 30th, we've got a big one. We will talk about that in a bit, though. We've got 2 animated films, or at least I think one of them is animated. It's a children's book. I think it's animated. It's called Harold and the Purple Crayon. I'm assuming that's animated. Cast, I don't really know much about this movie, but the cast looks really good for it. You got, as soon as I get this stupid thing to load up. You got Zachary Levi, Zooey Deschanel, Revi Patel, who I like on TV, Little Rel Howery. like I said, they're not like huge names by any means, but they're people that I like. All I got for a synopsis is a young boy named Harold embarks on a magical mission with the help of his purple crown.
It's crayon, by the way, not a crown.
What?
It's a live action movie, apparently.
Is it live action, really?
Yeah, it says I'm directed by Carlos Saldana in his live action directorial debut.
Oh, like I said, no trailers for it yet, so I don't know what to go off on this.
There's always these like family films, especially adapted from books, that come out. They're like these big, casts that you love, but I don't care. it's just not for me, because it's like I don't know.
Speaking of also another family film that doesn't really hit us, you got Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken from DreamWorks. I saw the trailer for it. It didn't really do much.
This feels like one of those Netflix animated films that pops up,
Yeah, except not
third tier.
Not the Robinsons one, or was it the Robinsons?
The Sea Beast was the one you loved, wasn't it?
What's that?
The Sea Beast was the one you liked, right?
I did like Sea Beast. Sea Beast got nominated for an Oscar. So.
And Mitchell's versus the Machines, which actually was originally made for theatrical, so.
Which that was great. Yeah. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. It did not look good for me. But let's talk about the movie we actually want to talk about. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Yes, Brian is a diehard Jones fan, to the point where he has a comatose state where he says that Kingdom of Crystal Skull never happened. That movie never existed. That was never released. He's never seen that film before, apparently, even though we talked about it on the show. But he's a diehard Jones fan. Obviously, my dad is a diehard Indiana Jones fan, so I grew up with the Indy films. I think Last Crusade is the last film I ever saw in a drive-in. I remember that was my last film in a drive-in theater, because I definitely don't live anywhere where drive-ins are still around. So I remember that being my last film. The big thing.
Mine was a double feature of Species and Braveheart. There's a weird combination for you.
That's a long ass night at the drive-in.
It was a long night.
Oh my God, it's a long night. But yeah, for me, the biggest selling point for this one is one of my favorite directors, hands down, is James Mangold. Dude made Logan just beautiful. Him doing this is immediately my selling point for why I think this movie is going to be a success. I don't think we're going to have another Crystal Skull situation here, because I don't think Mangold will allow that movie to be a Crystal Skull situation. I think casting wise, I think it looks good in the film. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Is it Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
Yes.
Yeah. I love her in her show Fleabag. If anyone's never seen that, it's brilliant. It's like 6 episodes. But I didn't like her in Solo, where she was the robot. So I'm hoping she finds that kind of middle space between those two, and it can really work well with Harrison Ford. I'm hoping that we get the good Harrison in this, and not the I don't give a shit anymore Harrison. I want to say, because it's his last ride as Indy, he will be I actually give a crap. Mads Mikkelsen, obviously, I love. In this, we got oh God, what's his name from Logan and Predator?
I just blanked out his name myself.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name, but yeah, he's in it, which I like him.
Boyd Holbrook.
What's that?
Boyd Holbrook.
Yeah, Wade Holbrook. I like Wade Holbrook.
Boyd
Holbrook. I said Boyd. Boyd Holbrook. The story, I don't really know much about it, even after seeing the main trailer for it. But it's Indiana Jones. It's Harrison Ford's last run. Mangold's directing it. Mads is the villain. All the check marks are checking for me to be generally excited for this film, and hopeful that it is a great last ride for Harrison Ford. Now I'm going to say everything over to Brian, because this is his movie.
Yeah, so Indiana Jones 4 was a giant disappointment. There are bright spots in it.
I honestly, to this day, don't think it's as bad as everyone makes it up.
There are some enjoyable things about it, but overall, it was a giant disappointment. But the problem is, everything that was wrong with that movie came from George Lucas. Honestly, if you hear about the story points that he insisted be in there, the things he wouldn't allow in there, the way he wanted the story to go, everything came from George Lucas. And Steven Spielberg was always just like, "Hey man, it's your thing. I'm just directing it, so whatever you want to do." I would have loved to have seen Steven Spielberg direct this one with George Lucas completely hands off and just let Steven Spielberg do it. But he elected not to do it either. So brought in James Mangold, a great director who's made some fun movies. Obviously, he did what he did with Logan. You know, he kind of took a franchise that, you know, maybe could have been considered tired and kind of brought something new to it, especially with the aging star, or at least the character was aging. I've seen him do some great action in things like Night and Day, things like that, which I've really enjoyed from him. So I have a lot of faith in James Mangold. So I think that this will not be a disaster. I think this one will not be a huge disappointment. Will it be up to the level of like the original three? I don't know. It's hard to say. The whole thing with the Dial of Destiny and supposedly some like time travel or something therein
with the de-aging and everything.
Yeah, well, the de-aging, it looks like a lot of that is actually flashback. Like apparently there's an early sequence of it, which is like a 20-minute sequence of like from back when he was younger. It's like basically a flashback, which I'm okay with that. I mean, as long as it's well done. I don't know if I like them including the time travel thing. If that is in fact the case, I don't know if it actually is or not. I find myself cautiously optimistic. I want to like this movie. I think it will be good. I don't know if I will love it as much as the original three, but I'd much rather go out on this movie than on the last one. So
yeah,
that's what it is.
We're now into July. I got 2 movies for July. I've got Insidious: The Red Door, which I've only ever seen the first one. So I really don't have much to say on this.
Yeah, all those like Insidious and even Conjuring, they're kind of run together for me, and I don't even really know what they are. So
Patrick Wilson's in both of them.
Yeah, I think isn't Patrick Wilson directing this one, or is he
I don't
directing
know.
the next
I just know that
Conjuring?
him and Rose Byrne are coming back for this one. I don't think they were in the last one or the last 2 or something.
Yeah, I want to say he's either directing this or he's directing the next Conjuring. I can't remember which one it was, but I might see it. I have no interest. I think
I'm going to see it. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the whole.
I want to say I've only even seen the first Insidious. I don't even remember.
I saw the first one, and the first one wasn't bad. I didn't hate the first one. It was just it wasn't
even
enough.
Like 100 other movies coming out at the same time.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough for me to like continue watching the franchise. The other one that comes out on July 7th is the other R-rated comedy that I was talking about that I think could be big, which is Joyride. Rough Night and Girls Trip were both per money, they don't look like successes, but I think they actually were big box office successes for when they came out. The all-girl R-rated raunchy comedies, I think, is a genre that doesn't get utilized enough, but when it works, it actually really does work. I think the trailer for this actually looks fun. Stephanie Hsu is coming hot off of her Oscar-nominated performance for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She's like a third character in it, but I think she was funny in the trailer that I saw. This has good potential to be one of those top R-rated comedies for the summer. I actually genuinely am excited to see this. I don't think it's going to blow me away by any means, but I actually am hoping to watch this, much like Strays, and just and be entertained for about an hour and 40 minutes. What say you about Joyride?
This is the one I think could be the sleeper hit of the summer. Because especially because after at CinemaCon they did a full screening of this, and the reviews out there have just been raving about it. How it's just fall on the floor, laugh out loud, funny through the whole thing. So I'm really hoping that is the case. Because like you said, the kind of all female R-rated comedy is something they've been trying to get right. I mean, a lot of people like Bridesmaids. I was not all impressed with Bridesmaids.
I think that is overrated as hell.
Yeah, but then like Girls Trip, I didn't think was funny at all. But then again, I wasn't their target audience for that movie. But I didn't think that was funny at all. But they tried that. They tried Rough Night around the same time. Yeah. That one was okay, but not all that great. But this is one that the trailer looks entertaining, but then most of all these reviews that I'm hearing have just been raving about it. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Hope they really hit it out of the
park. 5 days later, because it's getting a Wednesday release, which is they really honestly, I know it would screw Joyride over, but they really should have released this like July 4th weekend, because the July 4th weekend is not. I think they're hoping Indiana Jones will be the July 4th movie, basically. But July 12th, we get Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mission Impossible has been great since the third one. I have loved every one of these films. Fallout was a massive success. We are 2 months out and we've only ever gotten the teaser trailer. We got to be having a real trailer coming out here soon. I'm all on board for Mission Impossible, and especially Tom Cruise is running high off of Top Gun. I'm obviously excited for this. I can't wait to watch this one.
Yeah, there's something about this series where it's like I watch the trailers, I'm kind of like, okay, looks like another Mission Impossible movie. And the trailers never like get me excited because it's always like, they have some big stunt, that's just like, oh, Tom Cruise did this stunt. And like you said, you haven't seen a full trailer. We just seen that kind of first teaser of it.
Yeah.
But the trailers never blow me away. But then every time I watch the movie, they're super solid movies. They're really well made. The action is good. The story is good. Do they sometimes get a little convoluted and you like don't really care about sometimes the politics or the MacGuffin they're after and things like that? Yeah, but that's not why you're going to see the movie. And so this is one I'm not a big fan of the whole let's take a movie and break it into two parts, even if it is your finale. I just tell me one story, man. Don't make me wait for another movie to watch a story.
Have they even said that it's the finale, or are they just breaking it up just to break it up? Because I don't know.
Supposedly it said these are the last two.
I don't know. I don't think it will be.
I think they're the last two for Tom Cruise, or at least maybe he'll move on to a different role where he's not like that. He's more the mentor kind of guy or something.
Well, they were supposed to do that like 2 or 3 movies ago with oh God, what's her name? Who we love in these movies?
I'm not sure who you're referring to.
She was in Dr. Sleep. She was in Greatest Showman.
Oh, Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson. She was kind of supposed to take over,
and now she'll be like the lead in them. But
now Haley Atwell is in this one.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's like Bond girls that's coming. Now, granted, they do keep bringing characters back and continuing through the series, so they aren't just like one-offs like Bond girls. But it's like I just feel like, okay, here's our female lead for this movie. And I think this movie looks really fun. I think it'll be really good. I hate the whole 2-part movie things.
I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. I just try not to. I try to pretend the part 1 thing doesn't exist.
Right.
I just know that it's a continuation to the next film, which is what all sequels should be: are continuations from the previous film. I don't really see anything to talk about on July 14th. I think it's the reason why Mission Impossible is coming out this fall, because it's trying to get the 5-day week.
The only other movie I had coming out, there's one called Theater Camp, which just as a guy who likes theater and musical theater and things like that, this one looks entertaining to me. It's actually starring Ben Platt and Molly Gordon, you might know from like Booksmart, and actually co-directed by Molly Gordon. So I'm kind of curious. This one is one that I think showed at one of the, I'm not sure if it's South by Southwest or one of those festivals, but apparently got a lot of buzz from there. And it's not going to be a blockbuster by any means, but it's one I want to check out.
Yes. Then we go to July 21st. We've got 4 movies that come out during this week. First one, still know jack shit about this film, but on Netflix we got They Clone Tyrone. Still don't know jack crap about this movie. I think you might know a little bit more than me about it.
This is one that a trailer got released like the end of last year or something like that. It's got who is it? Jamie Foxx, I think Teyonah Parris, and somebody else in it. I don't know a lot about it. It looks like a kind of crime comedy kind of thing. I don't understand the plot from the trailer I did see, but it looks like it could be fun.
Yeah. Then this one I did not hear about, but then I clicked on it and read it. And I was like, you have me intrigued, and that's called Cobweb. Cobweb is the basic plot is it's a horror film. Is a boy who hears voices in his head decides to unleash them on his abusive parents, which interesting. But the 2 leads is Lizzie Kaplan, who I love, and Anthony Starr from The Boys and Banshee and stuff, which I love that. The rest of the cast, don't really know the rest of them, but the premise is there. The 2 leads for I'm assuming they're the parents are there, so it's enough for me to go, I'm intrigued. I got to see a trailer for it though. But that does come out that week. Have you heard anything about Cobweb?
I'd never even heard of this movie. This is the first I've heard of it.
It's going to be theatrically released, but it's one of those with the other 2 Juggernaut films coming out that weekend. It's the one that's probably not going to make much money, but if it's a good horror film, it could have legs. Next, we're going to go to the Nolan verse as we get Oppenheimer. That is probably going to be the Oscar baity film of the summer, if there is one. I remember I'm more of a Nolan fan than Brian is, but even I'm weighing a little bit on the Nolanness because Tenet and Interstellar and Dunkirk weren't necessarily. I think I'm more positive on Interstellar now than I was when it came out, and Tenet and Dunkirk were just kind of eh. But Brian is definitely more excited about Oppenheimer than I am. The cast is great, but I, much like I said, what you said with Fool's Paradise, I feel like a lot of these people are just like in a scene, or they're just random guy who's working there but doesn't really have a big sign. They just wanted to be in a Nolan movie and they're there, kind of thing. But I remember the first trailer; it was just like, let's do a super zoomed in face of Cillian Murphy, and like that's the whole trailer.
That's a definite teaser. Yeah.
But it's like I saw, I think a more recent trailer of it, and I'm more intrigued by it. I'm definitely gonna see it. I'm just not like ooh excited for it, but I know you are more than I am.
Yeah, well, it's like I've seen actually a couple full trailers for it because there's one I think that was IMAX exclusive, and then just recently there's like another like kind of a full trailer which really showed the story of it, and it showed a lot more of the actors and dialogue things in it. And whereas originally I'm like, whatever, it's Nolan, it's Oppenheimer, I don't care about the trailers. I have completely sold me on this movie. I am really intrigued by this, and I think it's going to be really good and maybe one of the best of the year, or definitely one of the best of the summer. But as much as I think that Nolan gets up his own ass sometimes, things like Tenet, things like that, or even stuff like Dunkirk, which is like you could feel like he thought he was making something this epic, awesome war movie, and I was kind of like, this one actually, there's something about it. It really got me intrigued. Maybe it's just like a story you don't really know all the details behind.
Which is weird because Brian notoriously is just disappointed by trailers, but the trailers are what sold him on this movie. I think it's hilarious because Brian normally hates trailers. And then, of course, the other big film that comes out on July 21st, I never thought I'd say this, fucking Barbie. That first trailer, not what I was expecting, but you know what? That looked damn fun. It looks fun. It looks dumb as shit, but it looks like fun dumb as shit. I'm all here just for Ryan Gosling. I'm literally here just for Gosling. I mean, yes, Margot Robbie's gorgeous, and oh god, I'm blanking on Shang-Chi's name. Is it Simu Liu? Yeah. There's a bunch of people in this movie. The one person I'm not excited to see is Kate McKinnon in this, but Gosling's delivery of the lines in the trailer had me laughing. I'm generally excited to see Barbie, and if you would have asked me this like 6 months ago when we were doing like our most anticipated, if you said, Sean, are you excited to eat Barbie? No. But now I'm like, yeah, I'm excited to see this. What about you with Barbie?
I had because they've been trying to make a Barbie movie for years. Like at times there's like Amy Schumer was going to be in it. Things like, of course it would have been a very different movie. I think it would take a different angle on take an angle on what's considered, women's standards, things like that. But then the Greta Gerwig came on, who she's just such an artsy mumblecore kind of person. Her movies are not my kind of thing. And so I was like, I'm really not interested in this movie, despite the cast I heard Margot Robbie, I heard Ryan Gosling on these things. Like I don't want to see a Greta Gerwig movie. And then I saw the trailer, and I was like, this could be a ton of fun. And I think just between the leads, obviously, especially Ryan Gosling kind of playing the dumb Ken role, and kind of the way they kind of created this artificial world that they live in, it's kind of this kind of surreal kind of quality to it, and all the supporting cast, and it looks like a musical, which of course is going to appeal to me, or at least has musical numbers in it. It appears like. I think this just looks so original and looks so fun. Now, supposedly the whole plot involves her kind of trying to go into the real world, like I guess where Will Ferrell's like as executive at Mattel and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I like the whole Lego movie kind of approach you're kind of taking to that part of it, but because I'd rather just kind of stay in this Barbie world. But I'm definitely far more interested than I was before I saw the trailer. Again.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It could be a train wreck, or it could be one of the biggest films of the year. I don't know. I just like Pixar. I don't know how to judge this box office wise. I really don't.
I do want to say one that I'm anticipating that was supposed to come out this week but isn't. It's Coyote versus Acme. We still don't know what's up with that fucking movie. It got pulled off the schedule. So who knows? It could show up on HBO Max. It could show up later in the year. I don't know. I just wanted to mention that because it was originally scheduled for this weekend, but it's not there anymore.
Yeah, you and I both want to see that movie really bad. Going to July 28th, we've got the random A24 horror film that Brian will not watch because it's A24. It's called Talk to Me. I saw the trailer for this last week. It didn't do much for me. And I know it didn't do anything for Brian.
I haven't even watched the trailer for it, so.
It has to do with like this ceramic hand, and
I really don't care. Okay, cool.
You're supposed to like put your hand in there and like talk to it, and this girl does, and now she's being like haunted. Maybe if they come out with a second trailer that could hook me, okay, but the first trailer really didn't do much for me. The only other one, which I still feel like this movie's not coming out, even though we've got a trailer for it, but it's just there's no buzz for this at all right now, which I'm sure within the month there'll be a lot of buzz. But that's Disney's Haunted Mansion. The original one with Eddie Murphy, it was fine. I mean, I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it either. This one definitely has a way better cast this time around. But I watched this trailer. I don't remember it now. I don't remember the trailer. And I watched it like last month. So I really can't remember if I'm excited for this or not. I do remember from it going, wow, they're really kind of going with some scary images for this for kids. That could scare some kids in theaters, or they're thinking, hey, kids aren't pussies anymore, they can deal with it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Haunted Mansion?
Like you, I haven't seen a whole lot of it. I saw that one teaser trailer that came out, which looked like it could be good. I mean, he's got a great cast to it. Like Keith Stanfield's in there. I know Jared Leto's in there. Apparently, there's a lot of people that I didn't even realize were in it, like in small parts, like Winona Ryder and some people show up in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard much buzz yet, but I really think you'll see a trailer on Guardians and or Mermaid, because those are the big Disney releases coming up.
Definitely Mermaid.
Which because I think once they get those out of the way, they'll start kicking in their marketing for the later summer ones like this. So I think you'll definitely see a lot more marketing for it. But as it is now, it's like I'm interested enough to check it out. Yeah. I'm not making a particular.
I'll definitely check it out. I'm just not. I'm indifferent right now. Now, when we get like a legit trailer or they really start pushing it, right, I'll have more of an idea of what I'll feel about that film. But right now, it's just like, yeah. So that's coming out. Heading into August, we got two movies that I should be super excited about. One I am, and the other one I'm just like, how are you going to piss me off this time?
Oh, before I hear that real quick, sometime in July, supposedly, but no date yet, is Adam Sandler's Spaceman on Netflix.
Is that supposed to be one of his Adam Sandler comedies, or supposed to be a movie that's actually considered taken seriously?
That's what I was looking up right now to try and find out. But of course, I can't find the information. But yeah, that's the thing is, last year, and I think the year before too, with the pandemic, Netflix, like at the beginning of the summer, like released like this trailer, like all their dates for the entire summer, everything to look forward to. This year they didn't do that for us. So
at least not yet. Watch after we put this out, then they'll do it.
Well, that's the other thing is there might be a lot of movies that we aren't even going to talk about here because we don't know are coming, like especially with Netflix or even like Amazon, Hulu, something that could throw out some streaming stuff. Space, I wonder if I got outdated listing or something, because it's not even here anymore. Okay, ignore me. Okay. This movie apparently disappeared. Like it's not on Letterboxd under Adam Sandler at all. So I wonder if it got canceled.
If it's more in line with like, you found it?
Yeah. Adam Sandler, Carey Mulligan, Paul Dano, Isabel Rossellini. Jacob, an astronaut sent to the edge of the galaxy to collect mysterious ancient dust, finds his earthly life falling to pieces. He turns the only voice who can help him try to put it back together. Just so happens to belong to a creature from the beginning of time lurking in the shadows of his spaceship. If I had to guess, I'd say it's a more dramatic one based on it's the director who did like HBO's Chernobyl and stuff. So I think it's going to be one of his more serious movies.
Wait, Craig Mazin?
No. Craig Mazin did not was the creator of it. I think he directed it all.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I think it's going to be another one more like, Hustle and Uncut Gems.
If it's on the spectrum of Hustle, I could be excited about it. If it's like Hubie fucking Halloween, I'm not gonna even.
Yeah, no, this looks like it's more of a drama. I don't know anything about it. Again, it doesn't have an exact date, but it's supposedly July on Netflix. Okay. Anyway, sorry, August, go.
No, you're good. Heading into August now. Yeah, the movie that I would like to be excited for, but I know it's just gonna piss me off, is the Meg 2, The Trench. Jaws, dude. I mean, Jaws, The Shallows. I like serious but fun shark movies. The Meg, 3/4 of that movie took itself seriously, and I was like, oh my god, they're actually gonna not like treat this like a joke. They're actually actually making this movie feel like it's a legit film. I'm actually excited. And then they fucking went and had the last act and completely went exactly where I thought it was gonna go, which was cliche, schnocky, bad, horrible crap. I would like to think the Meg 2 fixes that, but I feel like it's going to lean more into that last act. So I guess I'll figure that out once we get an actual trailer for it. Part of me feels like Brian cared more about the last act than the first 2 acts for the Meg.
Well, it's a mixed bag because I thought that the Meg's main problem, well, besides the completely non-existent chemistry between him and the Asian chick who they put in the lead, that I didn't buy that for a second. She's a horrible actress. The biggest problem I thought with the Meg is that it took itself too seriously. I thought that is exactly the kind of movie that should have been a fun shark movie, like more of a Deep Blue Sea kind of thing.
This is a book series that was serious.
Don't care. I think that I don't think this would work as a serious one. I think it would have worked better if it did not take itself seriously. I'm not saying make it a wacky comedy. I'm saying like a Deep Blue Sea kind of thing, where it's fun and it's kind of lighthearted. It's a serious story. It's not a comedy, but you just go with what it is. Like it's just a giant monster movie essentially. Then in the last act, they kind of took that turn and kind of made it more of like they went lean into the fun aspect of it, but it was really badly done in that last act. So that's not what I want it to be either. So this one, it's like, did they learn from their mistakes? Probably not, but let's hope they did.
We already have enough stupid fun shark movies. They're called fucking Sharknado.
Those aren't fun.
I just want a serious fucking shark movie that's not campy and over the top. I just want a serious shark fucking film that's like Jaws and The Shallows. For the life of me, I cannot stand this schlocky like camp crap where every cliche out. You literally are playing. You really
came out the Freak starring Josh Lucas called The Black Demon. Go see that.
Yeah, no. I'll wait for the Tommy Wiseau one. Oh, God. Yeah, I was you literally could have a bingo card and for the third act of the Meg, and you could like literally win campy bingo, cliche bingo with all the shit that happened in that third act in the last movie. The other film that comes out on August 4th, I was not excited for until we saw a trailer for, and now I'm actually generally excited for, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Everyone on the channel here knows I'm a big Turtles fan, but I was under the impression that this was probably going to be more towards their last Nickelodeon cartoon, which I was not a fan of. But Seth Rogen has completely taken over, and his main thing that he said he wanted to make sure to do with this one that has not been done that well in any of the other ones is that these are supposed to be teenagers. Let's have them actually act like teenagers. So let's actually cast teenagers to play these roles. And that's what he did here. The first trailer came out here about a couple months back. It's got almost like a Spider-Verse-esque kind of animation to it, but you know what? It was funny. And I actually had fun watching this trailer to the point that I am actually generally excited for a Turtles film again. I even think you said you liked the trailer a little bit too. Did you not?
Yeah, no, I think it's got an animation style which is a little different. It's gonna take some getting used to, but I kind of like that. I feel like while they are leaning into the teenage aspect of it, I almost feel like they're leaning into the young teen. It almost seems like pretty more at kids, and so I'm not sure if I like the some of that, but it's enough to have me interested to watch the movie.
Yeah, I think you and I both said that Donnie's balls need to drop because he sounds like a little girl in the trailer. But even in like just the stuff they were doing in the trailer, like I was laughing. Like I hope this movie's good. I hope it's good. I'm excited for that one. I see 4 other releases for the 4th, but I don't think any of them are anything big to you, are they?
The only thing that caught my eye was a movie called Dream and Wild, which I don't think it's gonna be a big movie, but I like the cast. It's got Casey Affleck, Walton Goggins, Zooey Deschanel, Chris Messina, Noah Jupe, and Jack Dylan Grazer are all in this movie. It's more of a drama, I think, about like a musical group or a musical family. So it's one I'll probably check out on streaming at some point.
Little sidebar. Did you hear about Jack Dylan Grazer?
No.
He is the lead runner, and I think he got offered. He hasn't accepted yet, but he got offered the role for live action Hiccup for How to Train Your Dragon live action film.
I could see that.
Like I saw, I was like, you know what? I actually can buy that. I can buy that wholeheartedly that he would be a good Hiccup character. So
I think he's a good age for it too, because by the time if they do sequels to it, he can like age kind of like the one in the movies did. So.
yeah, and he's got that kind of mannerism that worked with Bernthal. That it'd be a smart play. I wouldn't hate that pick. Going into August 11th, I've got 3 movies listed.
I have 3.
Um,
One's a Netflix movie.
Yeah, Netflix is Heart of Stone. It's Gal Gadot and like on the co-lead in that movie. It's a spy thriller. I think we've got a small trailer for it earlier in the year.
It's one of those things I think we got like within a Netflix tease of a bunch of upcoming movies.
Yeah.
Jamie Dornan is the other one.
That's right, Jamie Dornan. It looks fine. It looks like a Netflix spy thriller. It could be good, or it could just be.
It looks like a forgettable Netflix movie, which will be like fun to watch, but you'll probably never watch it a second time.
Potentially, yeah. We also got Gran Turismo, which is the PlayStation video game that's basically just racing. It's it's a game, but it's not really. It doesn't have to be a game. It's just fucking sports racing.
Well, the story is based on a true story, which is basically they were taking people who played the game and like they because the game is so much like real racing that they went to become real racers after this competition.
Yeah,
and so I guess it's based on that. It's got David Harbour is the one thing that appeals to me.
Yeah, and CinemaCon, people got to watch. I think it was a new trailer for it. Well, actually, there hasn't been a trailer. They got to watch the trailer for it, and they said that it looked intriguing. That it has potential there for what it is. It's not going to be for everybody, but from what they saw of it, it was more positive than anything else. And then the last movie for that week is probably the one horror film that Brian and I are probably the most excited for this summer, and that is The Last Voyage of the Is it Demeter?
Demeter, I believe.
Demeter. This was on the trailer reel for Renfield, which was kind of a weird one to put on.
It's like, are we already watching Dracula?
Yeah, we're already watching Dracula. I'm gonna let you take this one because I know you're more excited for this.
It's essentially in the original novel Dracula and the story of Dracula, the ship that brought Dracula from Europe to the U.S. was this ship, the Demeter, and this is basically the events. And the whole thing is like when it arrived in New York, like it was full of dead bodies and things like that. This is basically the story of that journey. That what happens on the boat, where they obviously don't know it's Dracula, but there's something loose on this boat that's killing everyone. The only person I remember, I don't have it pulled up right now, but the main person in the cast is David Dastmalchian, who obviously is having kind of a moment after having some big roles in things like the Suicide Squad and such. So I'm really intrigued to see that. But yeah, it's.
Hold on. I lost you.
Oh, okay.
Like you said, they don't know it's Dracula, and then I didn't hear anything after that.
Oh, but yeah, but it's basically there's something loose on the boat that's like kind of killing everyone, and this is just about that journey. And the main person I'm interested in seeing in this movie is David Dastmalchian, who's having kind of a big moment after things like the Suicide Squad and such. I don't have it pulled up, so I don't know who else is in there.
What? Oh God! In the Heights, that we love.
Ramos?
No. His buddy Benny.
Oh, Benny. Yeah, Corey Hawkins.
Yeah, Corey Hawkins.
Yeah, he's in this movie, but yeah, this is the trailer was on Renfield, but this is definitely more of a dramatic or a straight horror film or whatever.
The way it's described is by a lot of people is it's Alien on a boat, but the alien is
totally see that. Yeah.
And visually, it looks great. It really does. The one trailer we got to see of it definitely was a lot more positive than anything. So it was definitely one thing. It's like when we both watched Renfield, we were both like, "What'd you think of Renfield? It was good." Did you see the Voyage of the Demeter trailer? Yes, I did.
Yeah. and I will say you said it looked good. And I was the director of it is the guy who did the Autopsy of Jane Doe, which Autopsy of Jane Doe was not everything I wanted it to be, but it looks good and it has a great atmosphere to it, and it looks like that's kind of the same thing here.
It's one of those underrated horror films. It was like you see that, you're like, oh, this looks like every one of those shitty films that comes out like in September every year. But then you watch it, like, that was way better than it had any right to be. It's not like amazing, but it was actually a pretty solid film. Next, we're gonna go to August 18th. I think there's only really one movie in my
I
eyes.
have a second one. There's the comedy troupe who kind of took over for Lonely Island, making the shorts for Saturday Night Live. It's called Please Don't Destroy. It's like three white kids. They basically look like they're Lonely Island Part 2. Apparently there's an untitled Please Don't Destroy movie coming out that day, which I'm looking forward to. I think they're one of the only funny things left in Saturday Night Live, and so I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know anything more about it. So yeah.
I honestly stopped watching Saturday Night Live like sometime last
I mostly
year.
have too, but I will watch clips of it. Like
But the big movie coming out on August 18th is DC's Blue Beetle. It's supposedly they're chalking it up as DC's version of Spider-Man. Which honestly it looks
wearing an Iron Man ripoff suit.
It honestly looks more like, if we're trying to go with the family aspect, it's more like Miss Marvel. But the big thing that sells me, it's basically an alien Iron Man suit with Green Lantern capabilities. Honestly, the big thing that sells me on this, we finally got to saw the first trailer last month, is the lead, because I watch Cobra Kai. So I like the lead actor in this because he's in Cobra Kai. Other than that, Susan Sarandon as a villain, that'll be interesting. George Lopez immediately makes me not want to watch the movie because I can't
Especially
stand
with that hairdo.
Yeah. It's a movie. I know that they're saying that this one's supposed to be a very important film for the new DC world kind of thing.
I hope not.
I'm not excited for this.
I'd never heard of the character before this. Apparently it's been around for a while. I don't care about the character. I think the look of it is, it's just a blue Iron Man suit.
The look
complete
of it,
with a heads up display and everything he's got going on there.
The look of it makes me think of Big Bad Beetleborgs, which was a Saturday morning Saturday morning like knockoff of the Power Rangers when I was a kid.
Yeah, and it also looks like it's going for more of a lighthearted tone to it. Especially and especially with this whole family aspect is involved with him. It very much, I think it has that Ms. Marvel kind of feel to it, and that's not a good thing for me, but whatever.
Going into the last week, I see like seven. I see
It's a whole lot of nothing.
I don't really think any of those movies are anything that we really care about. So Blue Beetle effectively ends the summer.
Yeah, that Wonder spinoff, The White Bird, a Wonder story. You got Vacation Friends 2 on Hulu. And there's one called
I didn't hate the first one.
I haven't seen it. I know you saw it. And there's something called Lift on Netflix, which I forgot what that is. Lift, directed by F. Gary Gray. A master thief and her ex-boyfriend team up to steal $100 million in gold bullion being transported on a 777 passenger flight. So, starring I saw Gugu and Batha Raw. I'm like, yes, and Kevin Hart. Vincent D'Onofrio, Billy Magnuson. F. Gary Gray makes some good action movies. So
I like Billy Magnuson. So
yeah. Everything except Kevin Hart had been interested in that movie. So,
which we like Kevin Hart, but he's kind of being overused now.
Yeah,
and he the last 3 films he's did have not been good.
And I will just note one other movie, undated, supposedly coming out this summer. I think it's on Amazon. Is Argyle. That's the Matthew Vaughn with Henry Cavill.
We both want to see Argyle, but until they drop a trailer,
yeah, we don't know for sure. It still says mid 2023, so it might come out. So just put that on your radar, but it might or might not come out this time of year. I don't know.
Argyle was high on both of our most anticipated, but yeah. I have not heard a single thing about it since.
Nope.
Even the poster for it on Letterboxd is
the temp poster. Yeah,
it's a generic one. But that is the summer movies. So now we go to our box office predictions. Basically, how we did this last year, and I think we're going to do it the same here. Is we'll go over what movies we think are going to be just outside of the top 10. Now, if let's say, and I'm going to say a movie that I know it's not going to be on any of our lists. Let's say Brian brings up Strays.
Oh, that's my number 3. No, I'm kidding.
Let's say he brings up Strays as like his number 10, but it's like going to be my number 2. I'll talk about it like later. Not that we haven't already talked about these movies already, but we'll kind of hold it off until. I'll hold off talking about it until it comes up on my list. So that's how we're going to kind of do it. But yeah, we'll do our outside of the top 10, then we'll go 10 through 6, and then 5 through 1. Do you have any that you think are just going to be just outside, or like you can't put them in the top 10 because you're just not sure?
Well, I have 4 kind of. There's kind of that these contenders for the bottom spot kind of thing. I have 4 of them that I think will be just outside the top 10. Of course, these could all be way off.
Yeah.
One of them being, well, I have Meg 2 and Blue Beetle. I both have down there because like they could be successful, they could be flops. I don't know. I have Joyride, which could be a sleeper hit. I think that could make a lot of money. Like for instance, like I was talking about Girls Trip made $115 million when that came out. I think this has the potential to be successful. I don't know if it'll hit the top 10, but I think it'll be just outside there. And my last one, just because I was fighting for that bottom spot, I have Barbie up as a contender because I don't know how audiences will react to that. General audiences, you know.
We have 2 in this group. I also had Barbie because it's like I think it's going to be successful, but I think there's still going to be a lot of males that are like, I'm not going to see Barbie.
Right.
And they're going to let that be the deciding factor of them not going to see the film. It's probably going to be something they'd have to get dragged to.
Well, my big question mark for it is Barbie, the brand, obviously appeals to young girls. And it's like, is this movie going to have that appeal to younger audiences? Or is it just being a meta comedy where it's going to be more for adults and not for kids? That's a question mark, you know?
Yeah. So I feel like until we actually see what the movie's like, it's either going to be a success or it's going to be, I don't know who this movie's for kind of thing. But it's also one of those situations, like I said, where it's like, you might get a guy that gets dragged to it because of his girlfriend or whatever, and he likes it, but he's afraid to admit it to his other guy friends, and so they won't go see it. Much how like some guys are like huge Taylor Swift fans, but they won't mention. I am not one of those people, but it's like, oh no, I want to go see the little boys, but I'm not about to get made fun of for liking Taylor Swift. And I think Barbie might be in that situation. So either they'll admit that it's good and people are gonna go see Barbie, or they won't, and Barbie will be solid but not great in terms of money. I also think Joyride has potential to be a top 10, but I think there are too many big films.
I agree.
For worldwide complete box office that is going to make that top 10 bigger than Joyride. Pixar's Elemental.
Oh, I forgot to revise mine.
Pixar's Elemental. If we were talking about in the heyday of Pixar, this would be a top 5. The way Pixar has been over the last few years, I don't have the faith in it that it'll cross 400 mil total. I think it'll do maybe between 80 to 120 mil domestic, and then the rest will be international. So we'll maybe get close to 400 mil, unless it blows us all away. But I'm not expecting that, so I don't think it's going to do the money for it. And then the last one I got is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, and a lot of that's going to just depend on how good it is. It could have a situation. I'm not saying it's going to be a Mario situation, because if it's a Mario situation, we greatly underestimated it. But you take something that is from childhood, you make it animated, you make it fun and cool to the point where people our ages can go back and want to rewatch this and then want to take their kids to it and all that kind of stuff. That could be a box office success, but a lot of it is going to greatly depend on how well the film actually is. So that movie could be a sleeper domestic hit, or it could just be, that was a solid summer film for money, but it's not going to break the bank. My top 10, I'll go 10 to 6. I think Blue Beetle will crack the top 10. I think it'll be right at number 10. And the reason why I think it will is, well, yes, it's not doing much for us in terms of excitement, but I will look at 2 other films that are right kind of in the same area that actually did really well. And that is Coco, and that is Encanto. This is one of the first Latin American superheroes. And I think that demographic is going to come out in droves. Plus, you got the DC crowd. And then you got just the crowd in August who really just want to go see a good movie. Because there's not a whole lot in August, much like most summers. And I think that all of that together is going to be enough to make Blue Beetle crack the top 10. And you said that's in your honorable mentions, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next, for me, number 9, I got Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, it's going to have the Nolan name behind it, but it's also going to be a longer film. and it's probably going to be more of a slower paced film. But you have the Nolan name on it. You have potential for Oscar name behind it as well. And that in itself is enough for me to get it to crack into the top 10. It's not going to do anything super crazy. I think it'll make around like 500 mil. But I still think it's going to be a cinematic success in terms of money. And that's why I have it at the number 9 spot. Number 8, as much as I want this one to be higher, I still think it's probably going to be at number 8, and that's Spider-Man into Across the Spider-Verse. I would love this to be higher, but the first one did good, but it wasn't like, I think it was like what 400 mil worldwide. I think it's going to make more than that, but based off of the other films I have ahead of it, the other films are just going to make more money for what they are, and mainly because of overseas, not because of domestic. I think this is one of those movies like domestically, it's going to be a huge hit. Internationally, I think that it'll be fine, but it's not going to bump it up higher than the number 8 spot. Number 7 for me is The Flash, and that's kind of going to go in the same situation is the Michael Keaton part of it, and the potential reset of the DC is going to be a big part of this money. But I think a lot of the Ezra Miller backlash is what's going to hurt this movie from cracking into the top 5. I think word of mouth is going to be high on it, but I think a lot of the Ezra Millerness of it is what's going to keep this movie from cracking higher than 700 mil worldwide because of those things. I still think it's going to be a huge success. I just don't think it's going to go exactly as high as it could go because of all the, backstage stuff happening with it. And then my number 6, I've gone back and forth on my 5 and 6. I think 6 should be number 5, but I think it won't, but just because of its past, and that is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Transformers has notoriously been fine to really good in the US, but has been a juggernaut overseas. Even the shittiest Transformers films are box office monsters overseas. And Transformers: Rise of the Beast is going to be no different. You add the Beast Wars characters into it, I think it's going to make a shitload of money. I think it's going to make between 700 to 800 mil. I think not having Bay into it and have it potentially actually be a good Transformers movie, not a shitty Transformers movie, I think will also add to the rewatchability for it, especially with a lot of people. It's not going to cross the billion mark like I think the previous ones did, but it will get close. So that's my number 6. What about your 10 through 6?
All right, first little disclaimer. I looked at last year's summer preview and I did the same thing this year, which was domestic numbers. Sean just told me last night that he decided to go based on worldwide. I didn't, so you're going to see some mismatch because some of mine might have changed if I went worldwide.
You couldn't figure it out real quick?
I could. I'm not going to worry about it.
All right.
At number 10, I do have Oppenheimer. Because I mean, Christopher Nolan movies always make a ton of money. Like if you get into the Inception, I think made like almost $300 million. That's just domestic kind of thing.
Yeah.
But even like his other ones, like I compare this one more to like Dunkirk, and that one made like I want to say like almost $190 million. I think this is gonna be kind of that same range. So this is again domestic. So I think even though it's more of an adult movie, it's more of a drama. It's not your usual summer fare where you should think of blockbusters. His movies do make money because I think it's kind of that alternative programming to the mindless summer movies. So I think that'll be number 10. At number 9, I have Transformers. Now this one could be way more, especially if this is one that if I'm going worldwide, I would probably bump it up a couple spots. Because Transformers, I mean, obviously it used to always be a juggernaut, but by the time you hit like Age of Extinction, even overseas, it was not making a ton of money. They were kind of flopping.
Last Night still made 800 mil.
Yeah, well, that's real. But in the US, like, it was what, $130 million, which Bumblebee did the same thing. Bumblebee did up $130 million. Now this is again back to not just Bumblebee, it's full Transformers. So it's got a lot of the appeal to it. But I do think the last couple movies prior to Bumblebee have hurt the brand. So I think it's not going to be up to the levels it used to be at. But it's not. But it is going to be decent and probably more than Bumblebee made. So I have that at number 9. Number 8. Another one I would bump up for worldwide, but at number 8 right now I have Fast X. Fast X I was looking at because I always knew these as these giant blockbusters. Now a lot of that money is overseas, which is like why I said I would bump this up if I'm going worldwide. But for me, for my domestic numbers, because even if it makes like $200 million, which is about what I expect, that's only I think was it number seven made $353 million domestic. The other ones were all like in the 200 to 220 range for 5, 8, no, 5, 6, and 8. Number 9, obviously that was pandemic affected. That only made $173 million. And I think that one, killed a lot of people's goodwill towards this. So I consider this one to come in probably about $200 million domestic for my number 8 spot. Number 7, I have Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Those I think always do solid, but they're never like the top box office, the top couple box office of the year. I think this will be like that. I think Top Gun obviously showed Tom Cruise actually was making a lot of money, but I think a lot of that was fueled by some of the older audiences don't go to movies very much. Went to saw that because they remember the first Top Gun, a lot of the nostalgia kind of feel, being one of those nostalgia legacy sequels. So I think this one will do about on par with the previous entries. So that'll come in at number 7. Number 6, I wish was higher, but I don't think it will be, is Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, the last one, Crystal Skull, made $317 million in the US. But that was coming off people going, wow, those first 3 movies were awesome. And I think a lot of people now look at it and go, oh, well, that last one wasn't very good. So we're kind of hesitant. And some people who maybe don't know James Mangold are like, Steven Spielberg's not directing it. I don't know if I want to see this one. And honestly, the big thing that's making me keep this low as it is young people don't give a shit about Indiana Jones. I talked to even my own kids, who I should have raised better than this, who I tried to raise better than this. My daughter's like, I don't want to watch this old dude running around. It's like, I like the old movies, but
that is Han Solo. Go to your room.
Right. But she's like, I'm decided, and even my wife, who Indiana Jones, one of the few franchises, she's like, I don't know if I want to watch this movie. And so things like that just make me think that while I hope it makes a lot more money, I only have it coming in at number 6.
All right. My number 5, and we'll go back and forth on this one. My number 5, once again, because I'm going worldwide, because the US is not the only one here.
It was last year when we did the show, just saying.
Last year was one of those things we just did it real quick. We didn't actually plan it this time out. And I was embarrassed by our Maverick thing last year, so I was focused this time out. My number 5 is Fast X. Why? Because the world around the US still fucking love this franchise. And I'm also saying this. All 5 of these are going to get over $1 billion. They're going to get over $1 billion. So everything here is over $1 billion worldwide by the end of summer. And Transformers is going to be really close. I think, like I said, between 800 900 mil is where I think that one's going to go. Fast X, the US might be tired of it, but the world isn't. Fast and Furious, Fast 9 still did over 800 million. And that was considered the worst one.
Which means it made 670 million of it overseas. So
exactly my point.
That's why I said I would bump mine up probably.
And that was with the pandemic. So pandemic shit done. People are going to come back out for this. 8, 7, 6, all were over $1 billion. So I think that Fast X, with the pandemic no longer hoarding its crutches, I think Fast X is going to pass it. Do I want it to be that high? Fuck no. I would love for it to bomb. I would love to be wrong about Fast X and have it not even crack the top 10, but I know it will. So what's your 5?
My number 5 is Elemental. I think that, like I said last year, and it turned out to be the case with things like Minions, it's like people are looking for things that their little kids can go see in the middle of summer. They want to get them out of the house. They want to go see stuff. And I think that an animated film like this, I think that also appeals to adults. It's the first kind of back to basics Pixar movie to go back to theaters. I mean, Lightyear came out, but that was kind of like, it wasn't that's not the Lightyear people wanted to see. This kind of thing. I think this is going to be kind of back to the traditional kind of style of Pixar, like, putting you in this world. So I think that's going to be very successful based on that.
That was literally my description for Turtles, which is why I think Turtles could crack the top 10.
Yeah.
My number 4, and Brian's going to be happy about this, is Indiana Jones. You want to know why? Because Crystal Skull still did over 800 mil. Here's the reason why it's going to cross $1 billion. It's the last Harrison Ford film is Indiana Jones. the fans will show up for. Great casting. Mangold is directing. He is a proven director who knows how to do movies right. And you know what? The younger audience might not care about Indiana Jones, but you know what? They fucking know who Mangold is because he did Logan. And you're going to get the people to go, wait, this is the guy who did Logan? We're going to go see Indiana Jones. Because even the shittiest one did over 800 million. And people want to see where Indiana Jones ends. And even at the shittiest of it, it still was a box office success. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I do not think is going to be a shit film. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to resurgence Indiana Jones below in a lot of the fans enough that they're going to want to rewatch it. They're going to want to re-see it. And you're going to get the people who are Indiana Jones fans and Mangold fans because of Logan going to see this. And it will be one of the top hits of the summer. And Brian's like, God, I hope I had Sean's mindset because I hope that's true. But yes, so even though kids might not care about Indiana Jones, they do know Logan, and Logan will bring them in. What was your number
4? My number 4, I actually have The Flash, which it's a real question mark. I'm not sure where to go with this one because I mean, like Shazam, obviously kind of flopped the box office. Black Adam made $168 million domestic, and that was considered kind of an underperformer. But all of the main characters of the MCU, of the MCU, the DCU, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, those movies all made over like $300 million domestic. And so I think this one's not going to quite do that level. I think it'll be more like in the 250 range domestic. But I mean, it is kind of, it's been a long time coming. The reviews for it have been really raving about it. And then, like you said, the Michael Keaton aspect of it, and Ben Affleck and some things like that, that they bring back to it. I think that, and then when you add Supergirl in too, it almost feels like it's almost another Justice League thing happening because you got a lot of these characters back together again. I think that this is going to be, while not to the level of the early DC ones, I think it's going to be very successful. So I have that on my number 4.
Okay. My number 3 is also kind of part of what Brian says, is that parents want to take kids to the movies to see children's films. And that is why, even though there's a lot of backlash going on right now, Little Mermaid is going to make a shitload of money. Little Mermaid is going to easily cross $1 billion because as much as people didn't like The Lion King, that movie made $1.4 billion. Little Mermaid is one of the more beloved franchises in Disney culture, and people are going to want to see the live action. And yes, you can have the backlash of who they casted as Ariel and all that kind of crap, but you know what? Everyone is still going to go see this damn film. Maybe not Brian, but everyone's still going to see this damn film. And most of the people, if it's good, are going to see it many, many, many times. This one's going to be a huge success. Whether we see it, and like it has nothing to do with the overall box office. But I think that one is going to easily get near kind of Lion King range in terms of box office revenue. So that's my number 3.
My number 3, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is one that when you think of it, you think, I think it did okay, but it didn't do huge business. It made $190 million in the US alone. It very quietly made a ton of money. And just the Spider-Man brand, Spider-Man is huge, especially and if we go overseas as well. Spider-Man, the name, will sell almost any movie. And so I think that's going to give a big boost. But I think what really boosts this is that beyond the original, I think that this movie has gained a lot of new attention and new fans and a lot more people anticipating this new one since the first one came out. They caught it on streaming or disc or whatever. And it's kind of gotten, when people realize, oh, wait, this is good. And not only is it good, but it's a great movie. And I think a lot of people kind of came on board to it. So I think this allowed to the original. And that's why I think that and the Spider-Man name could boost it as high as number 3.
My number 2 is something that you mentioned in your bottom half, and that's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Once again, Fallout was a huge financial success. It made almost $900 million worldwide. But here's the reason why it's going to get over $1 billion. Top Gun Maverick. People are going to want to see the next Tom Cruise movie after Top Gun Maverick. And you know what? Yes, Top Gun Maverick was in the 80s. Mission Impossible has been around since the mid-90s. It's not like it's still brand new. It's been around. It's got that fan base. And each film has progressively been getting better each and every time. And everyone that Tom Cruise is going to ride that Top Gun Maverick money into this one. And if this movie is even remotely as good as the last Mission Impossible was, which once again made a shitload of money, Mission Impossible should also make a ton of money. Plus, that's it. The time it's coming out, you've got 2 weeks of Indiana Jones, and then everyone's going to be wanting to go see the next big movie that comes out. You know what the next big movie is? Mission Impossible. And they don't have any competition for a solid 2 weeks until I can't remember what the next movie is because I already deleted my thing. But both those films have 10 plus days without any real competition. I think it might be Barbie actually, and Oppenheimer. But yeah, Mission Impossible is going to make bank, and I think with the Top Gun Maverick wave and the previous Mission Impossible, I think this one's going to be the number 2 film of the year or of the summer. What was your number 2?
My number 2 is probably your number 1. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The previous 2 made $333 and $389 million domestic, respectively, and this being the last hurrah, I think that this one could be as big. I think that just general box office has been down from previous years, so I don't think it will surpass those first 2 movies. But I think that it's going to offset the downward trend of people seeing movies in theaters with just the fact that this is kind of the last hurrah and things like that. The Guardians, that's going to help it. I do think also there is some distrust in MCU. This last phase have been a lot of underperforming movies, especially the Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think a lot of people are kind of like, it's no longer like MCU movies are great, let's go see every one of them. Now it's kind of like, they aren't all that good. And so a lot of people lost some faith in it. So I think that will keep it from moving way ahead of the previous 2, but I think it'll probably still perform on par with them.
MCU is still the king. If your name is not James Cameron, MCU or Star Wars, MCU is still the king. They make the most money. Everyone wants to go see Marvel. You can talk about their movies not being that great. You can talk about them making that much money lately. But you know what? Everyone still sees the MCU. And the general consensus, everyone loves the Guardians. So this being the last potential Guardians film and the last James Gunn Guardians film, people are going to come out in droves to see this final film. It is easily going to be the number 1 film of the year for me, unless it doesn't do well. And you know what? Because it's the last one, people are going to want to rewatch this because they want to see these final performances of these characters again and again and again if the movie is good. If it sucks, that's different. But much like Endgame, people are going to want to rewatch these movies because MCU is king. MCU has not failed the box office. Even at its worst, MCU is still always going to be number 1 in the box office. And it's got 2 weeks without any competition. And it's going to be the one thing. And plus, people want to watch something else outside of Super Mario now. Evil Dead, like I said, it got its 2 weeks, but even then it didn't make a ton of money. People are ready to see a new film. People are ready to see something new. Guardians is that. I think even people who aren't huge Guardian fans are still going to go check this out because they want something new. And there's not anything else until mid-May. Guardians is going to make a shitload of money. And it's going to be probably one of the top films of the year, which you have it at 2. I got it at 1. Which means that your number 1's got to be Little Mermaid, unless you're pulling a Batman switch on me and you don't even think Little Mermaid's going to be a top 10.
Yeah, Little Mermaid, I think it's be number 1. I don't want that to be true, but I think it will be true. I think these live action adaptations have been just monsters. Like I said, the families want to get see movies they can go see, and just that it's a identifiable IP. It's going to be huge. I mean, looking back, Beauty and the Beast made $1.3 billion worldwide. Aladdin made over $1 billion. Lion King made $1.7 billion worldwide. And so, and I think this is one of those that's kind of up there in that collection of like the 4 or 5 like Disney movies that people really hold on high. This is kind of the last remaining one. And I think that plus I think you get a lot of the people, the representation angle of it. I know that's been a big deal in kind of the marketing of it. I think you get a boost from that. The same way other movies like Black Panther really got, we finally get a black superhero and they all, go. And so I think that this is going to get the extra boost. And I think that while I would like for it to not be number 1, I think it will be number 1.
That's why I'm putting it at number 3, because I just don't want it to be number 1. I feel like the top 3 are going to be like so close to each other. They're going to be within 100 mil. Unless yes, it just explodes because it actually is really good. And if I go and watch it and go, man, Little Mermaid was actually really good, like, shit, that's going to be number one. But yeah, so that is our top 10 predictions. Now we could be coming back here in September and be like, we were so wrong.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Freaking Oppenheimer just blew away the competition or some shit like that. But yes, how would you say this summer is compared to last summer? Are you more excited for the movies this summer? Are you on par with last year, or where were you at?
In terms of my anticipation of them, I think it's higher. I think that last year was still kind of coming out of the pandemic. There's still like kind of slow production. A lot of things that weren't coming out or got delayed, and there weren't as many that I was really excited about. This one, I think that not only are there some big movies I'm really excited about, but I think there's a good variety of things. I mean, there's things like prestige films like Oppenheimer, which aren't normally my main things I'm interested in, have me really interested as well. And then there's animated films like Spider-Verse, and there's action films like Indiana Jones, and then there's those question marks like Joyride, which I'm hearing nothing but good things about. I'm very anxious to see that. So just in terms of the variety and the number of potentially great movies, I think I'm more excited this year, although it's a cautious optimism because we've been disappointed many times.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Last year, I felt like there was like 6 big movies that we were generally excited for, and then just a lot of like, kind of thing. Whereas like this year, there's a lot of movies that we're generally excited to see. There's a lot of movies that we have to see just out of, franchises like Fast X and stuff like that. But there are, like you said, a lot of films that aren't considered big tentpole films that are generally interesting, like Joyride, The Blackening, Turtles. Just, movies that if you had asked us back in January, are we excited for these movies? We wouldn't have even brought them up. But now we've seen some trailers, we've heard word of mouth, we've seen synopsises of some of these. We're like, you know what? This is shaping up to be an exciting summer. It may not have sounded like that at the start of summer, but June and July is where the bread and butter of the summer really comes into play. May and August, you're kind of either just ramping up with the big dog like Guardians, or you're slowing down at the end of the year and having one big last hurrah. I feel like once we hit mid-May to the end of July, it's coming down to crap. I only have so much time, and I don't have the money to go see all these movies unless you're, Brian, who has the AMC, is it AMC Plus?
A-list.
I don't have that luxury. So I do think this summer I'm a lot more excited. I hope that the summer, much like March and April, has kind of kicked the bucket of the year of meh, which the first 3 months were really doing for us. And we actually have a more exciting and fun conversation when we go to the end of June for our half year review, which I think you and I both said that like our top 10 of the year right now is all movies that came out in like March and April.
Pretty much.
It's like before March, I was like, dude, our top 10 is garbage. So I'm hoping that this summer actually contends in the right way with our top 10. So when we hit July and we do our half year review, it's like, oh man, I'm having a hard time figuring out what my top 10 is in a good way, and not a, man, I don't want any of these movies to be in my top 10 kind of thing, which is what we were last year. We're just like, I don't really want to talk about my top 10. But anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Out right now, we have this week's episode of the Weekly Crusaders, where we're talking about 2 older films, Loverboy and Oscar, a movie that Brian has been trying to get me to watch for 4+ years. Coming out probably later in the week, we will have Cinemasochism, where we are talking about the movie The Specials. Yikes. But we also have the biggest review, my number 1 prediction of the summer, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Brian's number 2 pick for the year. But most importantly, my most anticipated film of the year. We will have a review for both of us by the end of that, as well as another episode of the Weekly Crusaders. So we got plenty of videos popping up on the channel, so be looking for that. And let us know, what movies are you excited for this summer? What are the ones that you can't wait to see? What are the ones that you think you can wait until word of mouth? Let us know what you guys think. But we'll be here to listen to it, talk about it, and we'll be back here again at the end of the summer to see exactly how well this summer did and how right or wrong we were about the box office. I'm hoping we're better this year than we were last year. But we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Wasker. That is Brian Michaels. Until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
you're still here. It's over. Go home.